Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need, Makoni.
With the launch of Makoni Entertainment and Makoni Competizone alongside Makoni Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at MakoniSetupShop.com/subscriptions.
And remember, at Makoni Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
Hello, my name's Aaron Brown from the Garage Shop in Denver, North Carolina. We're here at the famous Bonneville Speedway in Wendover, Utah. One of the most harshest environments on the planet to race in, and that's why we need the best tools Snap-on has to offer. What we use here to pump up the oil in our race engines to prime them is this Snap-on screw gun. With its variable speed and high torque, this allows us to spin our oil pumps up to 1,500 RPMs, creating 70 pounds of oil pressure, which helps us get everything settled in, nice and happy, and turn the hot oil through the engine. It's compact, lightweight, and able to fit in really tight spaces. Its 9-position clutch allows us to torque things, nuts, bolts, from 8-inch to 50-inch pounds. Small size and high performance helps us get into many places on a race car where normal tools can't. Under the dash and the engine compartment, we also use this to drill a lot of holes in very tight spots.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into another edition of the Ignition Zone pre-race show here live on the Collegiate iRacing League YouTube channel for another thrilling race coming to you in just a little bit here after some crazy races the past couple weeks at Daytona and Atlanta. We move ourselves to the Royal Mountains of Pennsylvania for tonight's event in Pocono. It will be the Future Made by Hand 200 presented by the Penn College of Technology Esports. We will get to that in just a little bit. But in the interim, we will be talking a little bit about last week, the season to this point, and what folks can expect here in just a moment. I'm Alex Gagnon. Alongside me tonight, Brad Daniels up in the booth. Brad, do you got a copy?
Yes, we do, Alex. And tonight, I mean, as you can tell, it's another huge track here in the Poconos, but not to be messed with. I mean, a lot can happen here at Pocono, and compared to the last 2 weeks, I mean, we're not going to see everyone bunched in, within a 1 second when it comes to qualifying here. A lot of people are going to have to use skills and everything they've done throughout the past couple of days here in practice to try and build their way to the front. And, it's going to be really hard to pass here at Pocono. But, yeah, I mean, compared to the last couple of weeks, there's going to be a lot of skill shown tonight.
Yeah, a lot more on the line tonight than just putting the hammer down, trying to stay in the draft and trying to get to the front. Although the draft will be a critical part of tonight's race. This is not a track like Daytona or Atlanta where you have that restrictor plate and everything is draft critical. But there are some incredibly long straightaways here at Pocono. So being in the draft will give you a significant bit of speed that you'd be lacking otherwise. And I think especially going into turn one with how wide this front stretch is, there will be times on restarts where you'll see this field go 3, 4, maybe 5, maybe 6 wide before they all try to condense back down at that very shallow opening corner. And the restarts are always one of the most striking things here at Pocono. That and just how it does really feel the way it's laid out, almost like a horse racing track where there's so much like grandeur and spectacle up on the front stretch, and then you look to the far side of the track and you're like, trees, nothing else. They've built everything up here at the front of this facility. And it's a gorgeous place, let me tell you. In real life, getting in and out of here traffic-wise, nightmare. It's like one road up the mountains in and back, and they shuttle everybody up, basically, and then they filter everybody out. But it is, I remember the one time I had the opportunity to go there. Man, we were waiting hours to get out of there because there's just not a whole lot of road, because there's not a whole lot of real estate, because it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. But I digress. I'm getting into a tangent here that we don't necessarily need to just yet. Let's see if we can pull up that schedule that we've had so far this season. We'll show you about where we're at so far in the timeline. We're about halfway through, honestly, at this point. Tonight, of course, being the 7th point-paying race of the season. That is 7 out of, I believe, 13 or 14. So just about at this halfway point, Brad. What have been some of the big surprises you've seen, or some of the things that haven't surprised you but are worth noting here from the front half of this calendar? What has caught your eye here in the opening front half of the year?
Well, I think, importantly, we saw it last week at Atlanta. I mean, we have gotten a lot of great green flag races this season, and last week was a complete green flag run, and a lot of great, green flag pit stops as well this season. And in seasons past, I think we're kind of building on that number, it seems like, each season going in and out. So outside of that, I mean, racers that also are doing great right now, at least keeping consistent. The two teammates from UNC Charlotte, Jared Kaler, Clint Haltman, sitting 4th and 5th right now, having some great seasons so far. Clint winning last race, and then also Garrett Vighton, I mean, running the first race at Charlotte, and then keeping up the momentum through the most part of, the first half of the season, despite having a lot of, some unfortunate things happen to him throughout a lot of these races. So I think he's, kept his head down and, committed his way to right now 6th in the standings. But Alex, what do you see as surprising so far that has happened throughout this first half?
Well, it's been very interesting with the way this season started. A couple of those more typical mile and a half type tracks that got a couple of cars you saw do really well. And then a bit of a wrench was thrown in the past couple of weeks with the 2 restrictor plate tracks. So this could be a welcome return for some folks who found some really good early season success. Cars like the 30 of Daniel Nanny or the 95 of Jake Cummings, folks who really were strong in the early part of the year, and then had a couple of wild card races potentially mess it up. So a big opportunity for them to rebound and get back after it here tonight. It has been really fascinating to watch this season unfold to this point, though. I mean, obviously the big talking point has been Ball State's success across the season, although they do not currently hold the overall points lead. That actually goes to the 95 of Jake Cummings. But they have drivers who currently sit 3rd, 7th, and 8th in that top 10, and then 14th going down the Kelton Quick. So it has honestly been a fantastic season to this point. There really hasn't been that many races where it's been like a dud. I actually think we've had maybe some of the best racing we've had in a long time here in the CIL East. Maybe back going toward, God, I don't know, maybe season 7. I mean, I remember that one stood out pretty good. But I mean, this year so far, I gotta say it's been one of the better ones. And Pocono will be a very interesting test, Brad, I think, to see if that continues. But before we move on to the full pre-race spectacular here tonight, our interview guest tonight is a special treat. He's actually the 3rd man on our broadcast and production team. You guys don't get to hear from him a ton, but tonight, for just a couple of minutes, you will, as producer Christian Hill is going to be our interviewer or our interviewee this evening. So, Christian, do you have a copy?
Yeah, hello.
Hey, there he is. For anyone who's ever wondered what whenever we talk about producer Christian, there he is on the screen there. Mount St. Mary's alum and producer here for the Garage Shop College Cup Series. Christian, first of all, thanks for agreeing to do this when we pitched the idea. I thought it was going to be fun, but I'm glad you're down for it. But anytime people have really heard about you in recent seasons here, it's always been in reference of like, oh, can we pull up this replay, or do we have, something that we can show for this moment? But you do the entire production for this show, cutting camera angles, putting up graphics, transitioning to replays and all that. What about producing a show keeps you so engaged? Like, why do you do it? Why do you like it?
That's a great question. And I'm not sure I have the exact response. I mean, so I tried streaming, like on my own before. I tried to do the whole Twitch thing where I was the person. But I don't have that energy. I don't have that kind of personality to kind of keep up. I'm not really good with my words either. So as you can tell during this interview, but yeah, it's a creative outlet for me. It's something that I can do. It's something that I was always interested in photography. And I think this is kind of just like a mix of, my photography, enjoyment / my, love for computers and racing. And it kind of like pushed it all together into one little package.
And then you talked about, briefly talking about potentially getting into Twitch and items like that. And, a lot of people love to stream on Twitch. And for those who are looking into broadcasting or producing in general, what pointers would you have for anyone really looking into that, starting out, or even, a couple months into it, couple years in?
Right. Yeah. So if you're just starting out, just do it. Just get into it. Just start. I mean, it's probably gonna be terrible at first. I could certainly, if you watch back on my first broadcasts, they were truly terrible. And then even now, like I'm constantly making mistakes. But mistakes, as long as you kind of learn from the mistakes, you should be fine. And it takes a lot of time, a lot of research. You spend hours just looking at other people's stuff, trying to gain inspiration from real life broadcasts or other broadcasts. I know I take a lot from NASCAR. I take a lot from the Coke. You take a lot from different things as you just kind of watch and you learn. And so, yeah, I just say get into it and try see what you like and go from there.
So this is a question that I've had for a long time, and I don't think it's actually come up even when we've talked here, not on broadcast, but it's something that's registered with me for a while, because I'd imagine, especially with how involved you are in the sim racing community beyond just the CIL here, producing shows for a litany of leagues and broadcasts. What are some of your favorite events to put on a show for? What are the kind of things where you're like, oh, this will be cool, I'm really excited, this really gets to, the creative juice is flowing?
Well, I really enjoy doing oval races. Ironically, I am not an oval driver. but I love broadcasting oval races. I can't drive one for, listen, unless it's trucks at New Atlanta, I'm not making it. So I'd say that I definitely like the one-off shows because I can get a bit more creative with them. Whereas if I do, I can put a lot more work into those one-off shows, and I'm not expected to continue doing that type of work every Monday, right? So if I do some like crazy graphics and crazy overlays, I'm not expected to do them again the next week. So those are the really fun ones where I could try new stuff out. Especially with a new group, you have all different types of overlays and whatnot. So I definitely really enjoy doing one-off shows for different groups.
We also had a question from earlier in the chat. This is not the one I was planning on asking, but Brad, if you want to fire off your second question here, feel free.
Is the make or break question here, is cereal a soup?
100%. It is just a cold soup. It's 100% a soup.
And I guess one last question to kind of tie it in here all together. You used to race a bit in this series before you moved to the production side of things. And I don't know about you, but I think for myself and maybe for Brad, this has definitely been maybe a better fit from being on the racetrack. Do you feel the same, or do you feel the itch to go back out there and compete every once in a while?
I do have the itch to go back and compete every once in a while. I can definitely say some different leagues. There's I broadcast. It's called BIS. It's Britannia iSports. They do some races, and I 100%. I've been asking for someone to take my place in broadcast so I can go and race. Specifically with the CIL, no. Every once in a while, I'm like, it could be fun, because I think the last time I did it, I was like Bristol, and I did finish 10th. But no, not necessarily this. I do wish I maybe didn't broadcast as much, because I could race CIL more. I could probably race on Wednesdays. Actually, I think I'm gonna race this coming Wednesday.
Hey, very fun.
Yeah, fortunately, yeah. My Wednesday series just ended for a little bit. But yeah, there's definitely a wish I could race some more. I still do race. I do a lot of IMSA racing, but broadcasting still takes up most of my time.
Very fun. Well, Christian, it's going to be a weird transition to say thank you so much for joining us, but you're going to be here when we go to commercial anyway. Cool. But anyone you want to shout out here tonight?
I want to shout out you, Alex. I want to shout out Brad. I want to shout out Zach Lindler. I mean, anyone who's ever helped with the broadcast, like I can't say thank you enough for the amount of work you guys have put in, for everything that you've done, because just without you guys, without everyone else behind the scenes, anyone who worked on CIL, it would not be where it is. I'm just a simple cog in the wheel that turns the whole machine. So really do thank you anyone and everyone who's ever watched, been a part of CIL or helped with CIL, especially with the broadcasts.
Well, you may be just one cog in the machine, but dare I say the most important one. Otherwise, we would not be able to go live every week. So thank you. Thanks for jumping on, talking to the folks at home. I'm sure they appreciate having a face to the name as well. And at this point, I think we're going to cut to a quick commercial break here. That has been the Ignition Zone pre-race show. I want to thank you all for hanging around for a second. When we come back in just a couple of minutes, it is going to be the start of the Future Made by Hand 200, presented by Penn College of Technology Esports, here from Pocono Raceway, Race 7 of the Garage Shop College Cup Series season, coming at you in just a couple minutes. We'll be right back. The sun rises here in the Pocono Mountains, and we are gearing up for another week of Garage Shop College Cup Series action, this time from the famed Pocono Raceway in Pennsylvania. I want to welcome y'all in to tonight's broadcast of the future Made by Hand 200, presented by the Penn College of Technology Esports. I want to thank Penn College for sponsoring tonight's event from Pocono, the home race for the PCT folks. And they've had the sponsorship on this race for a couple of years now, and it's always good to see them come out in full force for the home event here tonight. I want to welcome everybody in case you missed the pre-show. I'm Alex Gagnon, alongside me tonight, Brad Daniels, Christian Hill in the booth as well. And Brad, back-to-back restrictor plates the past 2 weeks, coming back to a track where the speeds will be even higher without that restrictor plate, because they are going to be able to generate some serious power going down into turn one. That being said, you got to get on the brakes a lot harder here than you did either of the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, really looking to hear Pocono and then Indy also next week. These two tracks offer a lot of speed, but with that, a lot of craziness, I think. With a lot of, different skill sets, preferred, driving lines. I think a lot of people are going to try and do what they can here at Pocono, because I know both Indy and Pocono are trouble of mine, because I can never get that secret, that secret formula or something about it. There's something that I cannot hit here at Pocono in Indy, and I think a lot of these drivers, Daniel Nanny included, I mean, he won here last time we were at Pocono, and a lot of these drivers have found that secret to Pocono and Indy, and I think tonight we're going to see a lot of people try and find it throughout the race, and like you said, during the pre-race, I mean, even, some craziness going into turn one, including some 4 or 5 wide action.
Yeah, I really think we are going to see some cars fan out in the big way. The conversation was had pre-race with all the drivers to be like, hey, just because you can go 5, 6, 7 wide here at Pocono down the front straightaway doesn't mean you necessarily should, especially on lap 1. But we'll see how well that is taken to heart, because, there's also no better time to gain positions on track than when everyone's stacked up for the restart and you can send it down to the apron 5 wide. So we'll see what that balance looks like here this evening. But let's take a second while we have a moment here to thank the people who make this series possible, because without them, we would not be racing here tonight at Pocono. Of course, it all starts with our season-long title sponsor, the Garage Shop. I want to give a big thank you to them. The Race Car Fabrication Company, building some of the most unique cars, trucks, and off-road vehicles around. Their motto of honor racers who came before us and putting our competitors behind us resonates with all here in the CIO. You can check them out at thegarageshop200.com. ECEC Esports, existing to add value to its member schools by enhancing the competitive experience for hundreds of students seeking to participate in intercollegiate esports. The McConey Setup Shop, the homes for setups, paint schemes, coaching, and more, the official setup shop of eNASCAR and the Garage Shop College Cup Series. You can visit the McConeySetupShop.com today to subscribe. And Whiplash SimCams, an iRacing and Esports media group specializing in racing and team graphics, iRacing camera packs, and other broadcasting resources. And tonight, our sponsor for tonight's event from Pocono, the Penn College of Technology Esports, putting on the Future Made by Hand 200. Of course, this has been their home race for a couple of seasons now, and it's been a huge thank you to them for helping put this one together. They have several drivers who have been in the series for a good minute and have been racing for a while. Will be racing here tonight. Folks like Austin DeLong, Dylan Godinez, Michael Sidor, Zach Tallman. Their head coach is making a one-off tonight, Josh Young. Excited to see him try to make the show here tonight. It'll be fun to watch the PCT folks go to work here at their home track and see what they can do. So thank you to them for sponsoring tonight's event. We'll take a look here at where we're running here tonight. Pocono Raceway in Long Pond, Pennsylvania. And Brad, there is not another track on the schedule quite like this one.
Yeah, the tricky triangle called by many. I mean, this track has 3 unique corners built up between actually 3 different courses. 2.5 mile track. And as you can see, it's pretty flat with the banking going between 614 degrees. And this track has been in the CIL for a long time, but has not been run as frequently as some of the others. So like this track, I mean, with turn 1 being modeled by Trenton Speedway, which is now no longer. And then Indy, where we're going next week, is turn 2, and then followed up by the Milwaukee Mile, making up turn 3. I mean, these 3 turns are so unique. You have to kind of take a different course of action into every turn here and keep yourself consistent enough to remember which turn you're going into, where's your braking point. And, you know, it can get really confusing if you don't hit your marks and, you know, you start getting into these long green flag runs, Alex, and it can get a little, you know, unforgiving at times.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you know, you're carrying close to 200 miles an hour of speed in the turn 1, and you got to really batten it down because there is not a whole lot of banking there. Turn 2 is basically the equivalent of a high-speed corner here at Pocono, but it's still a tough enough angle where you got to get it anchored down enough to get that car to rotate. Otherwise, you're just going to wash up into the fence. And then turn 3, you feel like because it's a shorter corner than turn 1, you wouldn't have to get off the throttle as much as you do, but that corner feels like it drags on forever. It is so easy for cars to get on the throttle too soon there and then push up and wash out and not get that run down the front straightaway that they need. It's an incredibly challenging track, and we'll see, I think, a couple drivers who really crush it here tonight, and a lot of folks who are going to be really struggling for track position as this one goes on. We'll see if we can take a look here with a qualifying video, potentially, from one of our drivers in the field. Producer Christian, who do we got on tap here tonight? We're going to jump on board with the driver of the 92, I believe, Connor Zabosian from Kettering. Oh, sorry, the 72 of Connor Zabosian from Kettering. And we'll see exactly what Brad was talking about here. I mean, you know, you carry so much speed here in the turn 1, Brad, and you have to bleed so much of it off to get this car to rotate because there is next to no banking here in turn 1.
Yeah, I mean, these guys really have to keep it consistent if they want a, you know, great qualifying position, because unlike the last 2 weeks, these, you know, times are not going to be within a tenth of each other. They're spread out to over a second from the beginning of the field to the end. But still, you could see this turn 2 is a very deceiving, in my opinion. You know, that wall comes up really quick on you, especially if you're too wide going through that little tunnel turn. So it gets a little wild here, but as Connor Zabosian's showing, you know, you keep it around that bottom, a little bit up from the apron, that's where the speed is at. And I think a lot of these drivers, once they're single file, they're going to pretty much try to snake their way around that line consistently. And as tire wear goes on, I mean, that line's going to be a little harder to hold. And then at this front stretch is going to take forever for, you know, everyone to get down.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I think the longest front straightaway of any track in the series, to my understanding. We'll watch Zabosian here run his second lap for a little bit. Never mind. That's on me. I set myself up for failure there. We only were doing the one. Well, while we have a moment, we'll... Actually, no, we'll do the grid first before we do the race analysis. I think that makes more sense. So let's jump right into it tonight, folks. We'll get into tonight's starting grid for tonight's event here at Pocono, and maybe a bit of a surprise to some folks, but maybe not. It is Reese Bayham in the 334 for Auburn, going to put it on pole. A 54.042 puts the Auburn Tigers on the front row for, I believe, the first time this season. Daniel Nanny going to roll off to his outside, 3-time winner this year, looking to repeat his Pocono win from 2 seasons ago. Row number 2 will be Drew Williams from Clemson University and Zach DeWale from St. Clair College in the 519. Row 3, last week's winner, Clint Halterman from UNC Charlotte, and the person we were just watching their qualifying lap with, that is Connor Zabosian from Kettering. Row number 4 will be points leader Jake Cummings from Converse University and Ball State's R. Muhammad Alif. And in row number 5, it'll be Wingate's Brandon Schulenberger and Ball State's Lucas Moody.
Starting in 11th, we have Drexel's Jason Wallen. To his outside, the Ball State machine at the 79 and Ben Neller. In row 7, we have Ricky Paz from East Carolina University, and to his outside, Keegan Cowlick from St. Clair. In 15th, we have Logan Smith from Auburn University, and to his outside, Nick Stockner from Clemson University. And in row 9, we have Cade Corbin from the University of Alabama, Huntsville, and to his outside, our today's sponsor, Dylan Godinez from Penn College of Technology. And rounding out your top 20, Austin DeLong, the teammate, is from Penn State, Penn College of Technology, my apologies, starts in 19th. And rounding out your top 20, Alex Halloner from Binghamton.
Andrew McGill rolls off 21st tonight in the 004 for Auburn. Trey Lambrecht from Texas A&M San Antonio making his Garage Shop College Cup Series debut tonight. He'll roll off 22nd. Andrew Burrell rolls off 23rd this evening for Clemson University. PCT's Zach Tallman rolling off in 24th. 25th tonight will be the former champ Jared Kaler. And to his outside, Baruch College's Edward Sanchez. Matt Nordberg from NC State is going to roll off 27th here tonight. Andrew McManus from the University of Toledo in 28th. And rounding out your top 30, Robbie Hotchkiss from New England College rolls off 29th, making his CIL debut tonight, I believe. Grant Schiller from St. Clair College will be 30th.
And starting in row 16, Josh Young from Penn College of Technology, and to his outside, the University of North Georgia's Jax Wilson. Starting at 33rd, Alex Finnerty from UNC Charlotte, and to his outside, Wesley Shaw from Texas A&M University Texarkana. In 35th, Nathaniel Crone from the University of Toledo, and to his outside, Michael Sidor from Penn College of Technology. In 37th, Ethan Decatur from Valparaiso, and to his outside, Roger Primo from Paul Smith College. And rounding out your starting grid tonight, Michael James from Drexel University and Dwayne Young from Kettering University takes that final spot. And your DNQs tonight, Carter Capini from Paul Smith College in 41st, and Caleb Winslow from East Carolina University.
So 40 cars making the show here tonight. 2 DNQs for the future made by Hand 200. It is going to be a fast grid, and honestly, Brad, looking at the times, I think one of the biggest shockers to me is our pole sitter, Reese Bayham. I know he's been fast all year. I know he's top 10 in points coming into tonight's event. But Daniel Nanny was so good here the last time we were here in Season 10. He's been the man to beat so far this year. 3 wins in the opening 6 races for the points. I am honestly really impressed with Bayham's effort here tonight to put it on the front row, and not only the front row, but that top spot. I think that's going to serve him really well and give him that preferred lane going into turn 1. That could be a huge difference maker in the early part of this race.
Yeah, I mean, Reese Bayham's definitely going to benefit from that pole position points that he gets from it as well. Daniel Nanny's going to have to cycle back at the end of line. So, I mean, right now, the alumni really showed out in this starting grid, taking now the top 4 spots. I mean, Drew Williams, Zach DeWale, Clint Halteman, and Connor Zabosian's also in there, these guys have been showing their speed all season. And obviously tonight, you can see that they have showed it in qualifying, but we'll see how that translates to the race, because a lot of these guys have not run Pocono in the CIL.
Yeah, a lot of faces who will be doing it for their first time here tonight. Daniel Nanny, of course, winner here 2 seasons ago. Last time we were at Pocono, the only other time it was ever on the calendar, Season 3. That was a race that, Brad, you and I were both a part of. Neither of us fared particularly well, and incredible driver Santiago Torres picked up the win there for UNC Charlotte that time around. We'll see if we get a third different winner here tonight, or if Nanny can go back-to-back for his 4th of the season. Quick race analysis while we have a second. 80 laps tonight, 200 miles on deck, pit lane speed 55 miles an hour, with an estimated time on pit road about 32 to 35 seconds. 5 sets of tires available over the wall tonight. The fuel window expected to be just a little over halfway, but that is if you're taking care in the draft. Field stacked up, ready to go. Green flags in the air, and we are in Pocono. And as they make their way off of turn 3, it's going to be Zach DeWale taking him to the line as it looks like Jake Cummings ends up in the fence. I think we are going to be staying green, despite the fact that he is currently off the pace. He's trying to get it back up to speed. But that is going to be a big hit there to the 95. And we are actively working on trying to get the field to properly render here. iRacing having a little bit of an issue today, but, you know, when doesn't it? I feel like every once in a while decide to throw a wrench in plans. So somehow we stay green, all things considered, even though it was the 95 of Jake Cummings who ended up in the wall there on the opening lap. Zach DeWale leads over Connor Zabosian and Reese Bayham. I tell you what, that 72 machine has made short work of the field to this point. Only 2 laps in, he's jumped from 6th to 2nd.
Yeah, and someone who's following suit. I mean, Muhammad Ali starting 8th up to 4th within 2 laps now. And you can see this draft is everything. As you can see now, a snake formation happening here on the front stretch. Everyone trying to use as much draft as they can, get that speed going into turn 1, that heavy braking zone going into 1. And I mean, you know, on these restarts, especially on these fresh tires, you can see Reese Bayham did not fare very nicely and fell back now to 3rd, but he is still, you know, found his way in line, and now pretty much, you know, these drivers have to kind of set this up like it's a road course, try to figure out when can they attack, when can they get to the inside or even potentially the outside of some of these cars and get that draft down the back stretch or front stretch, whichever stretch you're on. And, you know, a lot of the guys here at this point are going to be single file in line and, you know, figuring out, you know, if they can do really anything in these first couple of laps.
So as they make their way down the front straightaway here, DeWale leads over Zabosian by only half a car length. Reese Bayham settles into 3rd here, the pole sitter. Watching on is Alif and Drew Williams, who are rounding out the top 5, all in tow down that front straightaway that is just carrying the draft something fierce. And right now, you see Zabosian's been very active behind the 519, the Kettering driver, trying to find a way around if he can help it. He has not been able to find that opening just yet. He's looked to the outside last time around through turn 2. Thought about it briefly there. Nothing going this time by, though. This is the tough part at a place like Pocono, is that while, you know, you don't need partners like you would at Daytona or Atlanta to make a pass with the draft, you have to be very, very particular when you jump out to make your move. And I think we'll see a little bit down here on the front straightaways. Zabosian works it all the way down. He got that run he was looking for, and he's going to be alongside DeWale as they go in the turn 1.
Zabosian's going to absolutely send it into turn 1, get past DeWale with ease, and now Reese Bayham is going to follow suit, try to get that 334 Auburn machine past DeWale as well while he's at it, but he is out of the draft, and DeWale's going to use that draft to try and roar past him. But right now, side by side, going into the tunnel turn of turn 2, these guys are going to have to keep it safe and play it easy as they go through here, because it can get really messy really quick. If you aren't looking at that line, you can see Reese Bayham gets a little loose coming out of turn 2.
Bayham nearly lost it there, collected it. He's going to be in a battle here with Alif for 3rd. Zabosian going to start pulling away a little bit here from DeWale, but now we're going to get to that long front straightaway. It's going to be very hard for the 72 to maintain that gap, because the draft is about to pull the field right back to them as they make their way into turn number 1 once again. This time, though, it is Connor Zabosian at the point in turn 1, leading his first couple laps of the race. It has been a great start for the driver of the 72 machine. He's got St. Clair and Ball State, though, hot on his heels.
Yeah, and you know, last 2 races we've been at, being at restrictor plate races, we've seen people left out to dry, and right now, I mean, Reese Bayham had to kind of get stuck on that inside line going down these stretches, and that's basically the same thing as being left out to dry at those restrictor plate races, having no draft. And now Drew Williams, with that momentum, is going to try and look to the inside of Muhammad Alif.
So they make their way out of the corner once again. Bayham hits the wall pretty hard there off of turn number 3. They're going to keep it settled, keep it collected. And the snake forming early. Green flag laps starting to tick away at Pocono. We know it's only been just a minute, but we are going to be right back in just a moment. We are going to be doing some work here behind the scenes and we will be back in just a moment to bring you continued coverage of the Future Made by Hand 200, presented by Penn College of Technology Esports.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need, Makoni.
With the launch of Makoni Entertainment and Makoni Competizone alongside Makoni Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at MakoniSetupShop.com/subscriptions.
And remember, at Makoni Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
Whenever you want. All right, well, we are back, and I think we fixed one problem, and the iRacing gods have created another. So we will try and get that sorted here. While we're back, though, up front, Zach DeWale made a move for the lead on Zaposian, was not able to get it to work, though. So Connor Zaposian from Kettering University continuing the lead here up at the front of this field. Next time by, they'll make their way onto lap number 11, because that new issue that we were talking about, ATVO, our graphics package, decided that it was going to go take a quick nap. So while we go to work on fixing that one, we will bring it to you. Hey, there we go. There's our leaderboard. Now everyone knows what's happening, and we can see everybody up on the old big screen. So, if, we'll kind of go through the quick recap here now that everything's working properly. This front group of, dare I say, about 13 cars are all kind of stacked up, and then there's a massive gap back from 13th to 14th. This is really a 13-car breakaway at the front of the field. You can even see it there. Trey Lamprecht, the Texas A&M San Antonio driver, currently leading that second group in the 43 machine, but has some work to do if he's going to get up to Dylan Godinez there, Brad. That is a pretty big gap between the front and middle pack.
Yeah, and I mean, with time, these guys are going to have to try and work together. As you can see, Daniel Nanny's now a part of that group as well, so he's making a charge back up to the front. But now, looking back at these, top 7 that seem to just can't get away from each other, you can see the little, distance between the back half of this little group, but these front 7 are pretty much locked in a little blanket. As you can see, just a snake happening pretty much every lap going down the front stretch here. And, everyone's kind of settled in. The tires have gotten through their peak performance and now starting to wear a little bit. So, I think everyone's trying to gauge, if they've, saved up enough rubber to try and, pass on some of these guys that have burnt their tires up early. Or, there's also some of those who can, try to just organically pressure their guy in front of them and not get pressured from behind to try and make some moves. But right now, this is going to show where people are going to be able to keep their cool and composure and make those, set up some of those passes.
Absolutely. As they make their way off of turn 3, DeWale's going to have a peek to the inside of Zabosian here. Not going to be able to make the pass off of turn 3, but will settle right back into his tire tracks as they go across the start-finish line. The field slowly snaking through those outside 2 lanes as they make their way back into turn 1. Less than a car length separating all of them. You see there the 007, last week's winner, Clint Halterman. Maybe taking a peek to the inside here of Drew Williams. Not finding any room to go that time by, but the UNC Charlotte machine up into P4. Starting from the 5th position, up 1 spot to this point.
And right now, I mean, the biggest loser out of these top 7 is Reese Bayham. I mean, he started on pole and has slowly been, you know, losing spots, but he is still within the top 7, still keeping his mark on these guys. So he's, you know, even though he's been down and out for these first 13 laps, he has kept it within a second of the leader at this point. As you can see, almost everyone going to the wall almost there. And this absolute speed coming from Clint Halterman going to give Drew Williams a push. As you see Zach DeWale looking to the inside of Connor Zabosian, going into 1, going to clear him. And now Drew Williams will join the party, looking to the inside of the Kettering machine.
Door to door for second. Williams washed up the track. A little bit of contact between the two. Going to compromise his exit. Halterman has to make a choice here. Who does he go with? He sticks with the 100 of Drew Williams, pushing him back to the inside. They're going to be side by side going into 2. It's going to get a little sketchy through here. You see Halterman got on the brakes. He didn't want to get caught up in whatever's happening there as Williams really washed up the track, and Halterman going to take advantage. Dare I say, maybe calculated from the 007. Sending it in, and now a leaf to the inside, 3 wide in turn 3.
The Leaf saw the opportunity. Both of those cars checked up a little bit.
Oh, boy.
Coming out of 3. Hard hit in the Leaf, but the Leaf's able to save it and keep it on the inside. Oh, that was a hard lick from Clint Halterman. And now, I mean, all these guys are going to have a little bit of damage. And, I mean, a Leaf is now going to be settled for that inside line, battling with Reese Bayham.
I mean, that was a big shot there to the 12 of our Muhammad Ali. Halterman got incredibly out of shape there off of turn 3. Really collided with the 12. Alif did a great job to collect it, keep it in one piece. Shockingly, the 007 didn't lose any track position from that. The 12 only lost 1 spot. But that did hurt the momentum. That was Alif's best chance to this point to break into a podium position. And that one was squandered when the 007 just started having some issues there off the corner. It's not too often you find yourself 3 wide off the corner here at Pocono. A lot of times you can find that 3 wide going into the corner, particularly turn 1. But yeah, that was an unhappy race car coming off of turn 3 a lap ago. We see the field starting to get stacked up again. DeWale holds the lead now over Zabosian. St. Clair College up at the front. A couple more folks right on his heels before this gap back to 12 machine, although that started to condense just a little bit as well. 13 cars in this little breakaway group. Tailed end, Nick Stockner in this little pack. Up at the front, though, Zach DeWale trying to hold off in the early going. He's traded the lead back and forth a couple times here with the 72 of Connor Zabosian.
Ooh, and you can see Connor Zabosian's trying to keep it up on that outside. Hits the wall a little bit going down the stretch there, but keeping it in the draft, trying to get any type of draft he can, but from Zachary DeWale. But one thing to note, I mean, St. Clair right now is making up, 5th, 8th, 9th, and, you know, we got Daniel Nanny in 14th who had to take an end-of-line penalty. So he is trying to make his way through the field, which he's doing successfully so far, up what would be 26 positions. So, I mean, these guys from Ball State are all doing a great job as we have a caution.
Caution is out for the first time here today. I think it must have been from fairly deep in the field. Here, and it might have been the 46 of Michael Sidor, the Penn College Technology driver. We'll see if we can find where the 46 is at here. Oh, sorry, that is the 806. He used to drive the 46 back in the student class. We'll see, this is going into turn 1. He gets a great run on Jason Wallet. This is just outside the top 20. Dives in, carries a lot of speed. Washing up a little bit, but nothing seems too out of the ordinary there. Don't believe it was Michael Sidor, at least not that time around. Oh.
Oh, great shot.
There it is, though. Oh, heavy contact into the pit lane barricade. Grant Schiller and Michael Sidor, they were both... They get loose, or were they... No, okay, yeah. Schiller gets a massive piece of him up into the wall. Sidor goes down trying to catch it, and they both slide into that pit barricade. Colossal damage to the 806, and I'd imagine the 17 with hefty damage.
Yeah, that's definitely a day done for both of those cars. They're going to ride on board with Michael Sidor here, and you can see he's holding the line. Not really much room to give to Grant Schiller. Grant Schiller gets himself in there and gets them both loose, and in real life, these barrels are not supposed to be that hard, but the car just absolutely bounces right off of them, right back into Schiller.
That is a heavy bit of damage, and, you know, maybe in iRacing they don't fill those barrels with water or sand, but they actually fill those bad boys with just cement. Those things were anchored to the track. So first caution of the day. Here on lap 17, now lap 18. About a quarter of the way through, a prime time for the field to come down, get tires, get fuel, and really put a dent here on the pit strategy. Is the entire field going to make their way down, and I doubt we'll see anyone stay out, Brad, or and if so, it might only be one or two cars. This a strategy where this many laps on the tires already, definitely worth putting some new ones on.
Yeah, definitely quarter way through the race. I mean, only, you know, we're almost to 50 miles, surprisingly, with only 20 laps here at Poconos. You can see everyone diving it down into their pit box. And, you know, we haven't had a yellow flag in over 250 miles. I mean, since the last race was a whole race of green flag runs. I mean, these guys are all trying to figure it out and, you know, get used to yellow flag pit stops again. And we're going to see who could take advantage of that.
Yeah, what a sentence for Season 12 here in the CIL. The drivers have to remember how caution pit stops have to go because it's been a prolonged period of time since the last time we've had to deal with them. Well, and honestly, it's a testament, though, to how solid last week's race at Atlanta was, though. 133 laps, no yellow here. About another 50 miles in before the first yellow. But this comes at a very interesting time in this race because we've seen the leaders swap that spot a couple of times. But I think most importantly, it bunches the field back up so that second pack can kind of get reconnected to the main group. And I think the person that benefits the most is that 30 of Daniel Nanny. I believe he had an end of line to start the race, but worked up from the tail end of the field all the way to about the 15th spot before that caution. And now that 3-second gap separating the front and middle pack no longer there. Got to imagine the 30 ready to make some noise and get into this lead fight with DeWale and Zabosian this time around.
And also Jake Cummings, I mean, we saw him on that first lap take an absolute hit into that inside wall. He was slowly falling back through the field, and potentially, I mean, if that green flag run ran any further, he potentially could have been thrown into a lap down situation. But with that, he's still on the lead lap, and we still have only 20 laps, and this track is huge. So coming by the organic lead lap, or the leader lapping cars organically is pretty hard to do here at Pocono whenever, you know, it's only 20 laps of green flag runs. But looks like we have a couple cars that did not pit here, Alex.
Yep, a couple of takers who decided to stay out, led by the 19 of Ricky Paz for ECU, Baruch's Edward Sanchez, and Binghamton's Alex Hallinar, all electing to stay out here. They're going to try to get a little off cycle, see what they can do. Although with those laps being nearly 20 laps older than the field behind them, I got to imagine, unless they're gambling on a fairly quick caution here, I think we're going to see them really drop through the field in a hurry.
Yeah, it could potentially open the matter of potential like 4 or 5 wide going into turn 1 here, with them probably checking up the field a little bit going into that turn, having to use their braking point a little further back than the rest of these guys on fresh tires.
And that will be an interesting predicament, because if you're like Drew Williams, who is third on the inside row as we jump on board here with Edward Sanchez, the Baruch College driver with the in-car camera tonight. If you're some of those cars who just came down pit road, have fresh tires, but you're behind a few folks who are off fresh tires, how aggressive do you take it into turn one, knowing you don't want to get stuck behind them because you'll be able to take the corner a little bit faster than the rest of that group? It's going to lead a really interesting restart here. And we'll just have to see if that lead group who stayed out as fast as they need to, or if the field behind them is just going to try to swallow them up going in the one. Pace car with the lights off, going to make its way back down pit road. Green flag hanging high in the air once again, and we are racing again here at Pocono. Paz immediately jumps up to the high side in front of Edward Sanchez, and cars fanning out 3 and 4 wide deeper into the field. One of has got all the way down to the apron, deeper in the field.
Oh, caution.
Oh, caution's out, deeper in the pack, going into turn one. The yellow came out.
Actively trying to figure out what happened. I don't even know. I don't have anything on my
it
side.
was behind where our camera was at. I didn't see anything pop up on my end either, which is incredibly confusing. Might have been the 111. 111 may have been near it. We'll take a look here. It might be the 08 of Cade Corbin may have been a part of it. Same with the 43 of Trey Lamprecht. We'll take a look here on the old replay machine. You see the 43 and the 08, the two cars on screen on the inside row, the 43 in red, the 08 in white and blue. Looks like Corbin, with some draft help from Wallet, looks to the inside potentially here. And yeah, just gets a piece of the 43 getting in the one. Lamprecht goes sideways. Immediately catches it though.
Wow.
But that was enough for iRacing to throw a quick yellow, which does beg the question when the 95 of Jake Cummings went nearly full speed into the infield wall to conclude lap number 1, but it was off the racing line. I guess that was all chill and fine for the iRacing model, but
whoa.
Oh, nope, never mind. That actually might be what we're looking for. There's the 45 of Dwayne Young, and he gets all types of loose and ends up in the fence. As there's a car or two going by. So, you know what? Maybe scratch all of what I just said, because that actually might have been why the yellow came out.
Just chain reaction. I mean, riding on board, I believe, with Dwayne Young now. And he's been, battling the car all day, having to figure out what this car's going to do. And I mean, really here at Pocono, it's easy to get loose no matter what situation you're in. You can see the Kettering machine is unfortunately the victim of the tricky triangle.
And that is, unfortunate circumstance, but just sometimes what'll happen here at Pocono is you see the smoke, and I think he tries getting down, and this ends up in the wall spinning.
Might have been a little overcorrection, but I mean, once you lock the tires up, it could, this car can go whichever way it wants to here in Pocono. You guys can get real loose coming off of any of the corners, in the corners, no matter where it is. You saw Jake Cummings have to hit the wall there coming onto the front stretch as well. So, I mean, this track has definitely earned its name as the Tricky Triangle.
That it has. Producer Christian, what do you say we do a little bit of in-race interviews here with a couple of drivers who volunteered ahead of time? All right, we're going to try to pull in a couple of drivers here into the broadcast with us. I will leave that to Producer Christian, though. Here we go. Joining us now live from inside the car is the cars running first and second, first and third at the moment. Ricky Paz, Edward Sanchez, welcome to the booth. What's the move here, fellas? What's the pit strategy telling you?
Ricky, you got this.
I have no clue. We decided to try a dummy, and honestly, we both started from the back, so our strategy was a little bit different anyway. Saving some fuel, saving some tires, and that caution there really helps us out. So trying something different. It's going to be a one-stop here for all of us from here, so why not lead some laps, get some TV time for the both of us, and try something different.
And then, I mean, even though we only basically had half a straightaway this past little green flag run, what did you guys learn from that little restart that you're going to use this time around?
People aren't smart. I did say before in the cup chat, I said minus 500, they go 5 wide into turn 1 on the restarts. I was proven right tonight. I think the biggest thing that we learned, I think when I speak for both of us, is that we have a shot now. Being able to save fuel right now, coasting and saving, we can go hard here for another 20 laps or so and pit with the full fuel tire. 4 tires, full fuel, and then go hard in the end, and we'll be able to have a shot at the end if we go green towards the end.
Yeah, realistically for both of us, it's just keeping it clean, keeping our noses clean, and obviously clean air is super important here. So it's just a strategy race to the end. So let's see what happens.
And the plan is Ricky takes the lead out of turn 1. I get in behind him, I push him, and we tandem.
All right. Well, fellas, best of luck here on the ensuing restart. A rapid fire. Anyone you want to shout out?
Go ahead.
Go.
Shout out Vortex. Vortex mentioned Ricky, me, Alex. We're up on the top 3. We're going to do our best here. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to Ricky's college. Shout out to Brew College. Love you guys. I know everyone here
shout
tuning
out to
in.
Shout out to our families, our ladies, and Ethan Decatur in the background.
Yeah,
so,
shout out to Liz, my girlfriend. I love you.
All right. Thank you,
All right,
gents.
folks. Fellas, thank you so much for joining us. Folks, that was Edward Sanchez and Ricky Paz, the front row here, ready to go this time around for the restart. And that is maybe one of the all-time car interviews you ever get here from Pocono. So East Carolina's Ricky Paz lines up on the inside. Baruch College's Edward Sanchez rolls off on the outside. Pace car makes his way back down pit road, green flag, ready to rock and roll. And we are racing once again in Pocono.
Well, I mean, they tried to talk about their strategy, and right now Ricky Paz leads them going into turn 1. You see Halinar and Luke College, 26 Edward Sanchez going to turn 1. Still your top 3, but everyone on those pressure tires now making it through, trying to challenge these top 3s. You see some guys hitting the wall here, and just an entire mob of fresh tires trying to look down on these podium positions right now.
I'm not going to lie. I think 5 or 6 cars all clipped the wall off of turn 1. Everybody digging on those fresh tires, trying to make something happen. The 057 got really tight off of turn 2. Had the check up, lost a ton of time in track position. Sanchez going to go around. Now DeWale and Williams look to try to split the 057. Deeper in the field here. You see, 4 wide now. Everyone trying to get a sort of the leaf going high. Halterman down low is getting shuffled out. Daniel Nanny going to make it 3 wide into turn 1. Zabosian and Williams alongside him. How are they going to sort this out into turn 1? And the answer is the 72 is going to go way up the track, giving a little bit of room. And Halinar, that car is just not rotating right now. A little bit of contact maybe, just getting pinballed deeper into the field. That strategy has not worked for the 057. As things starting to calm down a little bit, at least in the top 10. But boy, oh boy, was that a tense moment there for about a lap and a half. That was a wreck waiting to happen, and miraculously never came.
Yeah, I mean, UNC Charlotte was involved in, I think, like 3 or 4 different 4-wide battles there for that entirety of that lap. So, I mean, surprising that everyone made it out here alive. And as you can see, Zachary DeWale now trying to use those fresher tires, got to the outside of Edward Sanchez, and now going to have a drag race down the back or the front stretch here, and now going to push Ricky Paz out and try to, really use that draft to his advantage. But, Edward Sanchez is not going to give up with a fight. You could hear it in that in-car interview we had. And now our Muhammad Alif also joined the party along with 6 other cars.
3 wide off of turn 1. Paz up high. DeWale, Sanchez down low. They're still sitting 3 wide, making the way toward turn 2. Certainly someone has to lift. It's both of DeWale and Sanchez, but that just leaves them 3 wide with Reese Bayham. Contact through turn 2. DeWale in green, Sanchez in blue. Both of them lose out to the 334 of the pole sitter, Reese Bayham, who moves up to second, trying to track down Ricky Paz. Sanchez trying to get the hammer down. Those older tires just refusing to do so at the moment. So you see a little bit of side draft there with Williams. Trying to hold up that outside lane. Does not seem to be working all that well. Williams goes on by. Here goes Alif as well. Diving down to the inside. Boy, we have got a lot of action here in the couple laps since this restart. A lot of cars all fighting for position. Oh, and Ricky Paz nearly loses it off a... He's going to be able to keep it off the wall, but that is going to end his chances of running up at the front on that strategy. That's a tough break for the 19 machine. So pole sitter Reese Bayham back to the front for the first time since the opening lap of tonight's race.
And right now we got alumni 1, 2, 3 as you see Reese Bayham followed up by DeWale and Williams. These guys trying to lock it out for the alumni, but I mean, Ball State and Muhammad Alif, Daniel Nanny are also here, along with Connor Zabosian. But Zabosian is right now trying to use the inside line against Nanny. Nanny gets by Zabosian from the looks of it and is now going to settle for 6th place and 7th.
Bayham leads over Zach DeWale and Drew Williams right now. A lot of eyes, though, turning to this battle, the 30 and the 72. Daniel Nanny, Connor Zabosian. Zabosian has led the most laps of anybody so far tonight. And the 30 of Daniel Nanny, the last time we came to Pocono, he was the winner here. 3 wins already this year, had to start from the tail end of the field. And he's already up to position number 5 here as we make our way to lap 30 next time by. It's been a very, very strong start for Daniel Nanny. Qualified second just behind Bayham. And now we'll have an opportunity at the rate he's going here to just in a couple laps be able to go and actually fight for that lead alongside the 334. We see a nice little battle developing in the tail end of the top 10. Lot of cars to keep an eye on here going down the front straightaway as we jump on board with Connor Zabosian, who is on the back bumper right now of Daniel Nanny.
And I mean, right now, I mean, you're right behind the fastest car in the field, and I think Zabosian is trying to just stay in line, do whatever Nanny is doing right now. And if Nanny makes a mistake, capitalize on it, because that's about all you can do right now. Nanny's on a warpath. And right now, I mean, Muhammad Alif sitting pretty 4th and 5th, but they want to get at least in that podium position that the top 3 alumni right now have. So these guys are, doing what they can. They have a little bit of a gap really now up to the top 2. Drew Williams falling back to Muhammad Alif. But you can see Connor Zabosian now all up on the back bumper of the 30, hitting the wall maybe a tiny bit. Going to hurt his momentum, but the draft's just going to keep him in.
Yeah, and that draft on the front straightaway is so powerful. That's why you'll see, especially later in this race, a lot of cars will start snaking down that front straightaway, much like we saw at the start, trying to cut off that draft, hold it up just a little bit, because when you are all nose to tail during that long front straightaway, you just get such a run that you get to carry down that group. So you watch this little battle here. This is Dylan Godinez trying to get around Edward Sanchez for 9th. Godinez, the highest running car from the Penn College of Technology tonight. Of course, tonight's event, the Future Made by Hand 200 presented by the Penn College of Technology Esports team. So far it's been a good night for the 808. He's looking to take away P9 here from Edward Sanchez, but as he washes up the hill a little bit, it might open the door for Ben Neller to try to make a move here going down the front straightaway.
Neller has to make the decision if he wants to stay on the outside and keep the draft with everyone else or go with Godinez. I mean, right now, Edward Sanchez with those older tires is kind of hurting this group. They're falling behind of the group ahead now without any type of draft support, falling without a second. Oh, Dylan Godinez almost gets into the back bumper of the 26. And now they're 3 wide, but Ben Neller stays behind Edward Sanchez. Ooh, gets a little loose coming out of one, hits the wall hard.
Yeah, and then tagged it a second time, too, trying to collect it. So Stockner going to try to push both of them ahead of Godinez here. They'll keep the 26 up in 9th. The 79 of Neller moves into the top 10 now. And Godinez finds a spot to slot himself into here in P11, just ahead of Nick Stockner. There's some good battling here at the tail end of the top 10. Just like up front, Zach DeWale has closed in directly to the back bumper of Reese Bayham using that draft. Getting a little bit of separation from Drew Williams as well. A little bit of a 2-car tango right up in front at the moment. We'll see if DeWale has anything here to make this pass. He made it on the opening lap of the race to put the 334 behind him. This pass, though, not coming nearly as easily.
And even though we watch that battle back there with Edward Sanchez and the rest of that group, I mean, there's a little bit of a tire disadvantage to Edward Sanchez, but everyone up here obviously staying with that same tire strategy. And right now, Reese Bayham, Zach DeWale opening a little bit of a gap to Drew Williams. Drew Williams able to stay pretty much in between the group and the little 2-car tandem in front and the little group behind him. So right now, I mean, as much as we saw Ball State carving up the field, these top 3 have been holding their own, and you can see Daniel Nanny just doing some bump drafting going down the front stretch here, trying to get our Muhammad Alif up to Drew Williams.
Tell you what, whenever you see 2 cars get synced up on track, there is not a duo in this league, I think, that inspires more fear in their competitors than seeing Alif and Nanny get tangoed up here. The 2 of them have finished 1-2 a number of times over the past few seasons. They are so good, especially when they get clean air on the nose of their respective race cars. And they're only a couple of spots away from doing that at the moment. Only 3 cars sit between the Ball State duo and the front of the field. But those are 3 incredibly fast cars that they're going to have to try to clear if they want to be able to jump to the top step and try and get Ball State their 5th win in 7 races here this season. As Nanny maybe takes a peek to the inside. He thought about getting under Alif there. They're going to settle back in behind the 12 this time and give him a good shove down the front straightaway as they continue to try to just chip into that gap that Drew Williams holds in 3rd.
I mean, it's mighty impressive from Daniel Nanny. I mean, he's able to just keep it within millimeters of Alif's back bumper and, you know, push him all the way down these stretches. And Alif's doing a great job of just trying to stay in the draft, keep it consistent. Both of these guys obviously trying to make it up to the podium position. And Connor Zabosian also a part of this, along with Clint Halterman. And then you have Brandon Schoenberger stuck in purgatory in 8th right now, just kind of in an island on his own. I'm 2.5 behind and in front, no one around him really. And then back to that original group of Edward Sanchez and pretty much everyone else, it looks like, back through the 15th position. So as you can see on the track map here in the bottom right, some gaps have opened up throughout the field. Depending where you started it, pretty much you're stuck in some sort of group, unless you're Brandon Schoenberger, of course, right now just stuck in your own island.
And it's very tough to find yourself in that position, I feel like, at this track. So Brandon Schulenberger very much isolated in gap right now, P8. He's a 2.5 back of the lead group, but about 2 seconds clear of the group behind him. You see there was Wingate's Brandon Schulenberger, far end of your screen. So this is a 7-car breakaway up at the front of the field right now. And a very talented group of 7 at that. Bayham, who's your pole sitter. Zach DeWale, multi-time winner in this series. Drew Williams, former champion in this series. Alif and Nanny, both multi-time winners. Nanny, of course, with 3 wins already this year. Connor Zabosian, who's put on a fantastic bit of work so far in the early going of this. One of the 2 most lap-led leaders of anyone in the field to this point. And Clint Halterman, who won last week. So it is a very talented group here in this little lead pack, all within a second of each other, going for the lead as we near the halfway point in this one. Auburn's Reese Bayham, though, still in control up at the front of the field. And this is the point of the run where a lot of these cars, they've come down pit road around lap 20, which means realistically, if they wanted to, they could push to about lap 60. More realistically, though, I'd imagine come down pit road, maybe closer to lap 50. Try to split this second group in half, assuming there's no more cautions. But Brad, I kind of look at this timing table, and the thing that really jumps out to me that I'm keeping an eye on is that 26 of Edward Sanchez, who's on that different strategy. He did not come down pit road either this time, so that is going to put him in a spot where you're really going to consider coming down pit road here, really.
Yeah, it looks like really far back in the field, just somebody got really loose. But I mean, some of these guys, I mean, are just stuck behind the brick wall that is Edward Sanchez. He's done a great job on those Oder tires, keeping everyone behind. Dylan Godinez, I think we saw as one of those drivers who was actively trying to just get around the Baruch 26 machine. But right now, Edward Sanchez doing a great job, and that's only going to benefit him depending on how these cautions lay, if any cautions come out. I think right now he really doesn't have a bad strategy with compared to how the rest of the field stands right now. He's only about, well, now 6 seconds behind this group of 7 that have broke away from the rest of the pack. But in that time, I mean, a whole pit stop here takes forever. And, you know, comparative to this front stretch, these guys are going about 200 miles an hour, you know, almost 200 miles an hour going into turn 1. So, you know, just time on pit road is going to add up. And if Edward Sanchez plays his cards right, he's going to be able to, you know, put himself in a really great position. You see Lucas Moody and Nick Stockton now getting after it for P11.
Yeah, you see Stockner and Moody side by side. It looks like Hallen are off the pace. Here's the question, did he just come down pit road, or is that just him off the pace? Sounds like the 057 might just be really struggling on those old tires at the moment. He's fallen through the field here quite a bit. Currently sitting in the, I think it was before that, the 18th position, but he's lost a few more spots now. And gets all the way down into the wall almost. No? Okay. Don't know if he may have been having a equipment issue there. I mean, he nearly drove that thing into the fence there on the front straightaway. Luckily, he was able to keep it off the wall, but he did not give himself a big margin for error. As you see him still on track here, so it wasn't a fuel issue. He has probably about another, at most, 5 laps of fuel in that car. And just continuing the truck away here, although he is down to the 29th position.
I'm looking through the field here. I mean, a couple big movers at the moment. Michael James, right behind his Drexel teammate, Jason Wallet, sitting in 23rd, up 16 positions. And someone also back in the field that we have not really talked about too much, Jared Kaler, sitting in 20th position, having a great season so far. But right now, he started 25th, so he has some work to do here in the back half of this race.
We're watching this battle unfold, getting a little side-by-side action now. Nanny to the inside of Drew Williams for 3rd, potentially. And Alif and Halterman were side-by-side for 5th. Nanny had a good run through 1, but that compromised exit with the 100 on his outside is not able to fully extend that run off the corner. Lost a bit of track position. Might get a bit of it back here through turn 2, as that was the preferred lane for that. And he'll have a good spot here in turn number 3 with how long it takes to this corner off the throttle. But the real question is, what kind of run can you get down the front straightaway? Turn 3 so critical for that. The Williams machine off the wall. It's going to cost him a little bit of time. Some heavy side drag. Through those two together. Here comes Alif to shove his teammate out in front of him, trying to get that number 30 machine up to P3.
Right now, Nanny got his whole car in front of Drew Williams. He's going to slide right up into that 3rd spot. And now it looks like possibly DeWale's next on the chopping block. He's had some struggles, it seems like, here in the past couple of laps. And now Nanny's going to try and exploit those struggles as he looks to the inside. Going into turn 2, similarly looking like what he did to Drew Williams 1 lap before. Nose to nose, DeWale gets a little loose. So does Nanny.
Not giving each other a whole lot of room here. Ball State teammates on the inside, OWR teammates up on the high side. A little bit more contact, a 30 washed up. They both ended up in the fence. They are dooring each other down the front straightaway. Neither particularly pleased with that exchange. You're hearing it over the radios, it sounds like. Nanny trying to get clear, Alif giving him a shove. Here comes Clint Halterman to the inside, making a 3 wide with DeWale. Zabosian and Williams shuffle back to 6th and 7th. And here they go down the back straightaway. Still 3 wide. Halterman not inside Leaf. So Daniel Nanny up the 2nd after some very physical driving. Zach DeWale. And that is going to put DeWale back to 3rd, trying to hold off Alif as he makes his way to the inside.
And I think Connor Zabosian saw all that happening. It looked like he kind of just checked out of that battle, tried to stay back to make sure nothing crazy happened in front of him, because these guys were getting after it. I mean, from turn 3 all the way to turn 1, that 30-second span, there was a lot going on, and now it's finally single filed back out. Now, the 30 of Daniel Nanny and R. Muhammad Alif, Ball State now 2-3. Trying to breathe down the neck of Reese Bayham, and Nanny is there right on the back bumper. As I thought that was Bayham right there, but that is another Auburn car, I believe.
As they make their way down the back straightaway, Daniel Nanny is on the back bumper of Reese Bayham. The front row qualifiers have found each other on track for the first time tonight, just past the halfway mark. Bayham in that 334 for Auburn in white and tiger stripes. The purple number 30 of Daniel Nanny. Nanny has found victory lane 3 times already this season. Bayham still looking for Garage College Cup Series win number 1, as they'll be side by side down the front straightaway. Looks like the 30 may have had a nose ahead at the line, but I would say it's not a done deal yet, as they are still door-to-door going into turn 1.
Nanny's able to just get that huge lunge into 1. It's going to give him about a 4-car length gap back to Bayhem now coming out of turn 1. That was a huge move by the 30, and now he's able to just extend that lead, and now Muhammad Alif is also going to try to take away 2nd position from Reese Bayhem, breathing down his neck, and now also Zachary DeWill has joined the party. I mean, these 7 obviously are under a blanket, but it seems like just positions are falling for everyone if your name isn't from Ball State.
Certainly seems like it, as Alif now going to take a look to the inside through 3. We'll see how they get a run off the corner here. Very shallow exit for the driver of the 12. That's going to cost him a little bit of top-end speed. It sounds like there was a pit lane penalty there for Alex Hallinar. Another taker for pit road this time around. That's Dylan Godinez in the 808. Pitting from just outside the top 10. As you see, the 12 got really tight going into 1. Washed up the track. Also made the 334 watch up a bit. But Bayham will secure 2nd place again, at least in the interim.
And Edward Sanchez came down pit road, so that alternative strategy might be helping out some of those. I mean, Ricky Paz is now a lap down, but this track is so huge. This top 7 obviously probably guaranteed to not go a lap down if they pit under green flag, but that's not going to be for a while, as you know, the top 7 have probably another 30 laps to the good until they have to come down pit road, I believe. I don't think they can make it to the end, Alex, but correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, they certainly couldn't. They would have to pit probably with about 15 laps to go, I'd imagine, at the latest. Maybe 10 if they get really lucky with the fuel strategy. So they would have to stop at least one more time before this one's all said and done. But those cars who elected to stay out, they are getting their first laps on track on fresh tires, full of fuel. They could be able to make it to the end, and they will have fresh tires, which at the moment is running them probably about a second and a half faster than our lead group. The older tires cost them a little bit of time, so they'll get some of that track position back naturally before the leaders even have to come down pit road. Off of turn number 3, this time by Daniel Nanny, has opened up that gap to nearly a second over Reese Bayham. The 30 is checking out in real time. You can see that gap just evolve here. Bayham battling with Alif for P2. DeWale runs 4th just ahead of Drew Williams. Halterman and Zabosian rounding out this lead cycle of cars. And then you have to jump back about 3.5 seconds to find Brandon Schulenberger, who's still kind of in his own little island back there. Because then it's about a 5-second gap back to Ben Neller, who runs in 9th position. This must be a very lonely drive, Brad, if you're Brandon Schulenberger now. Stuck in 8th, no cars anywhere in the same zip code, ahead or behind. How do you stay focused in a moment like this if you're the driver of the 7, knowing that there's really nothing to fight for in this moment in time on track? I feel like it's so easy to like lull into just like, oh, I'm casually driving, and you start to lose focus.
Yeah, I mean, riding on board here, you can see Brandon is taking it easy. I mean, he has some fresh tires around him, and Zach Tallman now passing on the outside. And I mean, Brandon's going to be able to use the draft from some of these faster cars to keep his cool and, you know, at least have some relevance of, you know, battling. But as you can see there, just a little, well, I think Zach Tallman also sent that car way deep into the corner. But I think, you know, obviously Brandon's going to have to just try and keep his cool, keep his composure, stay consistent. Because, I mean, Ben Neller behind, he's pretty fast. He can make his way up to Brandon Schulenberger if he makes just one mistake. I know that's 4 seconds, but I mean, that's a lot of time here at Pocono. And, you know, right now, I mean, Lucas Mooney is also with Ben Neller behind. So, I mean, Brandon's just going to have to try to keep his cool. I think he's going to have to, it gets really boring in that situation, but I mean, at least you have no one in front of you, so you can hit your marks and keep everything you can behind the wheel. So you see Muhammad.
Oh, you go ahead. You go ahead.
Muhammad Alif and Reese Bayham now getting into it. Alif able to get to the inside, now gets loose coming out of turn 1. Gonna give Bayham that second position back, and now Alif's gonna have to defend. Whoa! As Clint Halterman gets loose behind as well. Connor Zabodian gets around him. Alif is now battling for 4th after all of that.
It looked like everyone fanned out to make a move when the 12 was a little slow off of 1. Big slide off of turn 2 as well. And everyone in their hunger to try to make something happen there on that mistake nearly completely trashed each other going down the back straightaway. And now it looks like some of the leaders coming down pit road. Zach DeWale, Drew Williams, Clint Halterman, all making stops here on lap 50, cutting this second half in half. They pit at lap 20, looking to pit at lap 50 to make it to the end here in this 80-lap event. Well, let's see if we can, while we're seeing some of these pit stops here, we'll also jump to one of our other in-car driver cameras. Show off what we got going on here. It's Wesley Shaw, who's with this pit cycling, moved up to P12 on the track. There is the Texas A&M Texarkana machine. And there is Wesley Shaw. We had the opportunity to talk to him pre-race a few races ago. Currently on track there. As this pit cycle is ongoing, there's going to really shuffle up this field a little.
Yeah, he's kind of in Brandon Schollenberger's shoes where he's on an island of his own. You know, not really anyone around him. Jared Kaler's all the way up there 5.5 seconds ahead, and he's got a 1.5 seconds back to the car behind him and Ethan Decatur. So Wesley Shaw trying to just, you know, hit his marks, and obviously I think he's going to come down pit road at some point here. And, you know, ultimately also could be playing that, you know, stay out as long as you can until potential yellow comes out from all these green flag pit stops. You know, there's never a raw, I should say, like, it's always a reason to stay out, I think, here at Pocono, because obviously you can't go down a second, or you can't go down a lap, but you also really, you can't miss out on the opportunity to pit early and gain a lot of time.
Yeah, and, you know, Pocono historically is a track where we've seen a lot of fuel mileage races in real life, and, you know, even here in iRacing, it can very commonly come down to that if it gets a green flag run to the end. And we've got about 30 uninterrupted green here since the second caution. This is the most recent one, back on lap 24.
Sorry, Ball State's top 4 right now. Oh, they just fell. Just kidding.
Well, that's because Alif and Nanny have just come down pit road. You see them getting into their boxes now. The leader, number 30 machine, and Nanny in his box. Right side's up for both the 12 and the 30. He stayed out a couple extra laps from the field. He's going to lose some track position to those cars who pit a couple laps earlier, as far as of those few laps they got on the new tires. Although this will give him a slight tire advantage the rest of this run by going a few laps longer than the rest of the group. So he's going to cycle out to P9 on track, it looks like. And he will shuffle out actually ahead of Zach DeWale and Reese Bayham. So a good drive here for the 30, even with pitting a couple laps later, will give him the track position. Up front, it's Ben Miller and Lucas Moody up at the front of the field with Keegan Kallick up there in third as well. And there is a list of drivers, I'd say about 8 deep right now, Brad, where at this point you may as well just let this thing run out and hope for a yellow to try to flip that track position on its head.
Yeah, and you can see these guys are struggling with the car right now. I mean, Pocono's not a nice place to drive around once you got those worn tires. And producer Christian, can we see the track map right now to see how far these cars are ahead of some of these fresher tires? Just the absolute, you know, just cars everywhere from the looks of it. But you can see these guys are coming down into turn 3 now. And Daniel Maney currently going into turn 2, I believe. So, you know, they got a sizable lead right now, but, you know, there's a lot of time to be gained from those cars on fresh tires, and these guys are going to be losing out on a lot of time. I mean, we did discuss Edward Sanchez has, you know, those fresher tires, that alternative pit strategy, but right now it's not doing him too much work as he is sitting in 18th behind Dylan Godinez and Brandon Schollenberger.
Yeah, he had to get a lot of that time back the old-fashioned way when he came down pit road earlier. But he did gain it was a bit of a net positive from where he started that strategy. Still some work to do. As you see here, Moody now looking to make the pass for the lead at the moment on Ben Neller. Ball State teammates side by side. Here comes Keegan Calick into the mix as well. The St. Clair car not content to sit back in third, as now he looks to the outside, and I think the Ball State teammates might be thinking about coming down pit road potentially this time. In that they will. All of them, including the 29 of Calick, all making their way down pit road. So the top 3 cars are going to do so, which means Logan Smith now going to inherit the lead here for Auburn. The second Auburn car to lead at least 1 lap here today. The 334 of Bayham did it. Now the 34 of Smith had.
And I mean, Auburn let their presence be known at the restrictor plates, and now Logan Smith leading right now. Reese Bayham was leading, pretty much for a good bit of lapsage there and a little bit ago. As I think, oh, sorry, I thought Daniel Nanny just flew down the timing table, but my mistake. It was Brandon Schollenberger's now got back up to 10th, and just a lot of movement going on there on the left side of your screen. But yeah, I mean, Auburn has shown their face here this season and have been, doing some great work. As you can see, Logan Smith trying to play the caution game right now, along with Cade Corbin. But Daniel Nanny, a second ahead of Reese Bayham for provisional lead. And, that class of little four alumni group, along with Connor Zabozi and Alif, those 2 cars now, it looks like there's probably about 5 cars sitting in that lead group, Alex.
Yeah, it's thinned out just a little bit. As we take a look here at the replay, you see Jake Cummings, Jack Wilson. It sounds like the 95 might have had an issue. We know he got into the infield wall after the first lap, but we kept soldiering on. This, though, is lap 50. This was just a couple of laps ago. Not entirely sure what happened to the 95. We're still trying to figure out.
Oh, caution.
Oh, well, as we were trying to sort that out, the caution has come out, and that has fallen perfectly for Logan Smith and for Cade Corbin, as Alex Hallinar's car looks absolutely devastated at the exit of pit lane. The 057 significant left front damage, and that is going to be a caution that falls right into the hands of Logan Smith and Cade Corbin. Here's the replay about what happened to Hallinar.
That's an interesting spot for the 057 to be in. You can see Alex Hallinar going down the front stretch here. Oh, I think there might have been some mechanical issues there on Hallinar's end. I think we saw that earlier where he was having some troubles, and obviously that ended his day today. That left front side is just absolutely crushed. Sitting now in the in-car cam. Alex, take it away.
Yeah, I mean, he's going down the front straightaway. No real issues. And the car just starts pulling left. And right here, oh boy, yeah. That must have been a wheel disconnect. That thing snapped left instantaneously. Absolutely crumpled the front end of that car. And I got to imagine that is equipment issue there for Hallinar. I mean, that was 1 second that wheel was straight. The next second it was whipped all the way left instantly. Yeah, that's brutal. And even at that speed, the car just turned on him immediately. Completely caves in the front end. His day's certainly going to be over. And that is a tough break for Alex Hallinar. Had a decent run going, all things strategy, trying to make things, but caution going to fall at the right time here. A lot of leaders also going to come down pit road. Nanny, DeWale, Williams, Halterman, all pitting this time around as well. I'm assuming they're thinking they spent enough time on those tires where it is worth stopping for fresh ones with 20 laps to go. The field, though, very split, it looks like, on if they've come down pit road or not. It looks to be about half and half.
Yeah, the ultimate strategy call. I mean, late into this race, we've got a lot of guys up front that, you haven't seen much of today battling in that top 8 or so. And now we have a lot of these guys coming down pit road to get the freshest tires they can. And we'll see what strategy prevails. As you can see, Muhammad Alif have a great pit stop. Probably took 2 tires from the looks of it, as Daniel Nanny also leading the rest of the, I believe, the 4 tire cars, as also maybe Nick Stockner took 2 tires as well. So alternate strategies even for those that came into pit road that time by.
So next time by, or I guess in 2 laps from now, 20, just over 20 laps left in this one, which means just over 50 miles left in this Future Made by Hand 200, presented by Penn Technology Esports. It's been a fun one to this point. We got to see the green flag pit cycle again for the either third week in a row or 3rd and 4 weeks, something like that. We've seen quite a few of them as of late. But yeah, a lot of cars elected not to come down pit road last time, which is really going to put the cars who did, including some very fast ones like Daniel Nenny, Drew Williams, Zach DeWale, Connor Zabosian, all of them marred pretty deep in traffic here. I think when this cycles through, they're going to be scored, I don't know, about 15th or so, maybe? We'll see in just a moment, but there is going to be quite a few cars. It won't be like earlier, Brad, when there was only 3 cars on old tire front. This time, it's going to be at least a third of the field. And being able to make use of those good tires is going to be so critical to get that track position. But there's also enough time left where if you go too aggressive trying to pass cars on old tires now, you might not have enough tire in the final 5 laps of this race. This is a really interesting predicament for those cars who came down pit road and even for the cars who stayed out. This is going to be a really tall order because 20 laps defending on old tires is a very long time.
Yeah. And, we got a couple more. I mean, like you said before, we saw Ricky Paz, Edward Sanchez, and, a lot of cars also outside of that tried alternative strategies this race. And now we have a group of 6 varying from different parts of the field. As Reese Bayham, we saw him all, up front all race today on older tires, and pretty much everyone behind him that was in that group of 8, just went in, got some fresh tires, and obviously that's going to hurt him. But he's got a little bit of a buffer with some of these guys like Ben Nell or Lucas Moody. We saw them have some great run, staying out during that green flag run and benefiting from it. And Keegan Calick as well, Jason Wallet, Andrew McManus joining the fun. So we'll see what happens to these guys as Muhammad Alif and the hungry pack of cars try to take down these old tires.
It'll be interesting to see who is going to be able to get through the field the most effectively. I think that is going to be the decision maker here tonight on who ultimately gets the checkered flag from Oakland. Ball State has won 4 races this year, 3 with Daniel Nenny, 1 with Kelton Quick. They've got one of their drivers, Ben Neller, on the front row right now. Several others in the top 10. Do they get win number 5 here tonight? Or does Reese Bayham go out there from the pole? We're going to find out as Bayham is going to lead them into turn 1. They fan out 3 and 4 wide deeper in the pack.
And the time is now. If you want to make up some easy positions, we are going to go 3 wide as it looks like Ball State, Armahan Leaf, Daniel Nanny. Well, now 2 wide, and it looks like just further back in the field, Clint Halterman to the inside, Nick Stockner. Ooh, it's a big ooh, and some crash. A crash.
Oh, DeWale's around. Ooh. Zach DeWale into the wall. Jared Kaler as well. And that is going to bring out the 4th caution of the night. And that all started with a massive checkup on the outside lane, Brad. I think Andrew McManus in the 22 got a little bottled up coming off of turn 1, and that just accordioned its way through that outside lane.
Yeah, and there's some hard hitters here that got involved. Zachary DeWale, Jared Kaler, just some of the names. But we're going to, take a look back here to the restart. You can see some checkup here. And, Andrew McManus was up there with some older tires. And as you said, Alex, all these older tires really stacked up the field, causing some mayhem. You said Edward Sanchez diving it in there, trying to make up any positions he could. And, did a great job at it, but also had to fend off a lot of cars to the outside and just absolute anarchy as you see Andrew McManus stack up everyone here. Brandon Schollenberger hits the wall, which hits Zach DeWale, Andrew Burrell, Dylan Godinez involved. Jared Kaler gets sent around hard, spinning through that second after turn 1. And I think there was some more action potentially behind this as well.
I'd fully believe it. It was a big time stack up going down the back straightaway. And that's always the concern when you have cars on old tires and cars on fresh tires, not where you'd expect them to be on track, as far as having those older tires up front and the fresher tires behind. It really makes everything kind of come together. And all it takes is one car kind of getting a little out of sorts for it to be the issue of quite a few. We're on board here, I believe, with Jared Kaler. And you can see down low, I mean, he's given that a lot of berth to the outside. Unfortunately for him, all of this comes down the pipeline from just up in front of him. And I mean, you see Burl go around, DeWale, and then it's Godinez who tags him. Nearly actually flipped the 58 there. You see he got 2 wheels off the ground. And then in his spin, re-tags the 519 and continues to spin around.
We're going to ride on board with Virginia's Andrew Burl. Sorry, I'm having a moment here. As you can see, just absolute calamity that's also happening in my mind. As you can see, Kettering's Connor Zabozian also gets loose to the inside. And I mean, there's so much to unpack here. And as we saw before, Brandon Schoenberg gets up into the wall, domino effects into Zachary DeWale. And the 519 just bumps off the front end here and just sends Andrew Burl to the inside as well. The front end of that 519 gets absolutely smacked to the inside wall. I think everyone really involved here is going to have to get a lot of damages repaired.
I'd fully believe that. Well, we are going to take a super short commercial break. When we come back, it'll be the closing laps here of the Future Made by Hand 200. You won't want to miss it. We'll be right back.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need, Makoni.
With the launch of Makoni Entertainment and Makoni Competizone alongside Makoni Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at MakoniSetupShop.com/subscriptions.
And remember, at Makoni Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
Alrighty, we are back here, folks, live from the virtual Pocono Raceway. Next time by, it'll be 16 laps to go to settle race 7 of the Garage Shop College Cup Series calendar. Pole sitter Reese Bayham still sits at the front of this field, although it's been anything but easy. 334 to stay up there. He's fallen back, worked his way back up, had some pit strategy fall his way, and now, despite sitting on some older tires, is ready to lead this field to green. There's about 6 or 7 cars on who still sit in front of a bunch of cars who are all on fresher tires. Green flags in the air. Here we go once again as they all go turn How quickly are they going to fan out? There they go, 3 wide.
And Daniel Nanny's blocking the ever-living heck out of Drew Williams. Ben Neller on the outside of Daniel Nanny. Nanny's going to cruise on through and now looking for Lucas Moody. Oh, contact with his teammate and gets a little loose. That's also going to set up Ben Neller to get back into the fight. But Reese Bayham right now checking out as we have some 3-wide action. Drew Williams taking advantage. Now on the inside, going into 2. Looking on the inside of Ben Neller and Lucas Moody. Going to get closed out by Lucas Moody. And Keegan Cowlick up to the wall. 4 wide for a moment there.
Oh boy, they are trying to go every way but forwards right now in the turn 3. 3 and 4 wide. It's a miracle they got that settled. They were almost running out of racetrack. Contact here between Schulenberger, Calick, and Smith. Meanwhile, up toward the front of the field, here comes Jason Wallet battling with Ben Neller for 6. 4 wide down the front straightaway. Here comes Andrew McManus, shot out of a cannon on those fresh tires. He's going to jump around the 004. That was McGill. And meanwhile, up front, Lucas Moody has company for 2nd. Drew Williams hits the wall, checks up Nanny as well. Those guys running 3rd and 4th. You see how quickly this field got stretched out. Oh, Ben Neller sideways. Holterman's around. He collects Jason Wallet, and the caution is out for the 6th time. Heavy contact for the 79 of Ben Neller. Holterman also goes around. Oh, it looks like Zabosian gets caught up in it as well. A lot of cars who are running inside the top 10 stacked up on that one. That's particularly tough for Reese Bayham. He had already cleared out a 2nd. And there is Wesley Shaw, and he does not look particularly happy.
That's the one thing about Pocono, since you have these high-speed corners, high-speed straights. I mean, the crashes here just get way, way intense, and, you know, everyone's just going to receive a lot of damage from a lot of these wrecks. You could see Wesley Shaw's car is trying to, I don't even know, it's just driving a little crazy here as he's trying to limp it back to pit road. You can see just a lot of damage to a lot of great cars here that were fast really all day. I think Connor Zabosian might have been caught up in that as well. So just a lot of different universities caught up in this one.
Yeah, we'll take a look here. We can just see Wesley Shaw bring this thing back to pit road. It was a pretty good day going too for the 73. So here's the replay.
Easy.
Ben Neller in the 79 and Clint Halterman in the 007. That's where this begins. So we'll jump on board here. There's the initial bit. Ben Neller, part of this one. You see as this is them, I believe, last lap potentially going through turn 3. So it's when they go into, or getting close to turn 2. Here we go.
I believe this is turn 3 again here.
Oh, yeah, it is. We need them going down the back straightaway. That much we know. I believe this might be the same clip of turn 3. I'm not going to lie there. We're having a tough time with the old replay machine here, folks, but you did see it live from the Skycam. There's Ben Miller going around. That's heavy contact, the inside wall. This is what we're looking for. So you see a Leaf actually clips the wall there off of turn 1. He's a little slow, which is going to maybe stack up the field here. And potentially what causes this. You see they get that run up to him. Bit of contact, and then, yeah, just 007, 79, running out of real estate. Neller goes for a wild ride here. Field wall. Halterman gets shuffled back up into oncoming traffic. Big time contact for Cade Corbin. Connor Zabosian goes around. Damage for Jason Wallet. Tell you what, I think Logan Smith may have made it through there unscathed. That might be one fun onboard to watch.
It looks like just an absolute snowball effect. It seemed like it just started with Clint Halterman, Ben Neller, and then it just a lot of other cars got collected through some side action as we're going to ride on board here with NC State. Matthew Norberg is the Wolfpack machine. Is getting down the backstretch here. You can see a little bit of distance in front, and then you just the calamity between Halterman and Neller, and that starts it all. He's able to dodge the first set, as you can see, but he has to overcorrect here. Going back into 2, I believe that Zach Tallman gets involved with him. Wesley Shaw, also Texas A&M's Texarkana car, gets into the action as well, and just, you know, a lot of action here, Alex.
Yeah, I mean, you can see that they were still wrecking on the exit of 2 there. That's just how much caught up as everyone was trying to get on through. On board here with Wesley Shaw, who gets a piece of this late. You see the initial bit of stack up, gets it slowed down. Looks like he's going to avoid it, and then just gets clipped by Nordberg at the last second, and then hit with bonk. The quote producer Christian, bonk, with Roger Primo. Head-to-head contact there. But that is going to once again shake up the front of this field. It's going to be Reese Bayham still up front, but this time with Lucas Moody, Drew Williams, Daniel Nanny, that second row, both of them, I believe, on fresher tires. So that is going to be a big advantage for them. Alif and Sanchez, I think, are officially scored, or they were last time around. It's actually going to be Alif and Stockner in row 3, Sanchez and Corbin row 4, and then row 5, McManus and Calick. So some faces that we've seen up front all day, a couple of newcomers here late in this one. Tell you what, I think one of the biggest surprises here is seeing that 26 up there. That alternate strategy has fallen right to him, and he finds himself in contention here toward the end of this one.
Yeah, all these cars really in the back half of this top 10, choosing the right time to make their moves. Edward Sanchez involved along with Andrew McManus, Keegan Cowlick, and Andrew McGill also up there with Ethan Decatur. So these guys waited for the right time to try and make their charge, and now going to try and prove it here with the final 10 laps.
Next, when they take the green flag here, it will be 11 laps to go from Pocono. Reese Bayham, Lucas Moody. Green flag in the air. Here we go once again. The moves are only going to get more aggressive from here as time is starting to run out in this race. Bayham, a nice clean release into turn 1. Gets a little bit of separation. Williams and Nanny both finding their way around up toward the front. Oh, Booty sideways. He collects Stockner and Sanchez. Everyone trying to scatter around him. Someone else gets caught up in that one late. Wallet's around as well. Huge wreck. Jake Cummings in there. The 43 of Trey Lambrecht. It is a parking lot on the back straightaway. Roger Primo as well. Michael James, heavy contact. There's Lamprecht trying to get that car going again. Heavy damage for Tallman, Decatur. I mean, this turns into an absolute scrap heap coming off of turn 1, Brad. This starts up in about row 3, row 4, and Jen just cascades down through the rest of the field.
Yeah, it seems like within this top 5, the last 2 incidents have just caused an absolute, just parking lot, as you put it, here on the backstretch. But we're going to watch Nick Stockner, Lucas Moody. Stockner gets into the left rear of Lucas Moody. Edward Sanchez gets involved as well, and this is where the calamity starts. I mean, you can see everyone behind has to try and take evasive maneuver as they're wrecking in the racing line. Moody able to keep it straight, and these guys are diving it down to the inside, and it looks like just a couple cars unable to get out of the way. As you can see, Michael James getting into Jake Cummings. As you can see, Michael James.
Heavy contact with Cummings and Primo. It's like Nathaniel Crone gets caught up there with Sanchez as well. I mean, huge wreck. And it looks like they're still wrecking further on from here. This is just where it started. Tell you what, you want to see a car do a slalom through a parking lot, Jared Kaler worked his way through most of that at a pretty low speed, but I mean, he had to weave through a bunch of cars here.
And I mean, even at the restart, you could see he had to weave through some other guys trying to just avoid all the calamity that they somehow knew before it even started. I mean, UNC Charlotte, you could see Clinton Haltman also back here and just let the absolute carnage unfold in front. Everyone around trying to brake, and you can see some guys not braking at all.
All you see is smoke.
Yeah.
And yeah, just weaving his way on through once the smoke had cleared.
And I mean, shot out of a cannon is an understatement for Cummings going through that restart. He got about 6 positions before going into turn 1. You can see here he's 3 wide between Norberg and Finnerty, I believe. And just coming out of this turn, we all knew what was coming, but unfortunately for Cummings, he did not. As you can see, he's just bodied into Roger Primo.
It looked like he was trying to get down and out of the way, and he was still alongside Finnerty. The two make contact and shoots the 95 back up and just absolutely T-bones the 88 of Primo. A lot of really fast cars caught up in that one as well. That has been the theme of these past couple wrecks, both of them coming from inside the top 10. Tell you what, this has made a very interesting predicament at the front of the field, because at first it felt like those newer tire folks were just going to be able to drive away when they got a couple of laps going. But with the amount of restarts here, we keep inching closer and closer to the end of the... And we still have Reese Bayham up front, who was on those older tires.
Yeah, I think Bayham's probably the only person in the last 30 laps that hasn't had a heartbeat above like 150. So he has kept his cool, fortunately for him, and keeping that lead. But Drew Williams and Nanny, along with Alif, have made their way now back up to try and challenge him for that lead. And obviously, like you said, Alex, these guys on fresher tires than Bayham. Bayham's going to have his hands full next time around here. As you can see, the pace lights still on, coming to the start-finish line. And now everyone's going to have to get, I was going to say, I hope double file here. Yep, there we go.
Yep. And that will mean next time by we'll be going green with, I believe, 7 laps to go here from Pocono. Not going to lie, we've had enough wrecks here. I think it also jostled my brain a little bit. I forgot where we were for just a moment. We have a lot of faces who have cycled their way back to the front here. Williams, Bayham, Nanny, Alif, and Urban in that group. But then the back half of the top 10, a couple of new faces. Andrew McManus, Andrew McGill, Keaton Kallick, Brandon Schulenberger. Ethan Decatur has gone from 37th to 11th in this one. And this has been quite the battle so far. 23 cars remain on the lead lap, going all the way back to Matthew Nordberg, the NC State Wolfpack machine. So Drew Williams and Reese Bayham will be that front row. Ball State teammates Nanny, Alif, and Moody, 3, 4, 5. Ball State looking for win number 5 on the season. Clemson and Auburn both looking for win number 1. Then just behind them, I mean, Alabama, Huntsville, Toledo, St. Clair. I mean, there's a couple of cars who would love to go to victory lane. For Auburn or for Toledo, it would be their first ever victory here in the Garage Shop College Cup Series if they find a way to make it happen. That said, though, it is all going to come down to how well can they execute on the start, and will they be able to complete a full lap here without an incident on the back straightaway. We've had a couple in a row. We'll see if that trend continues. Pace car peels off. Green flag waving in the air again. Another good launch from the 334 of Bayham, and he will take the lead going into turn 1.
And Nanny's going to try and follow suit here on that inside line, going to be able to dive it into turn 1 ahead of Drew Williams. As you see, everyone, depending on fresher tires or older tires, trying to just get along and try to make it through turn 1 this time by. As I say that, I think everyone is able to make it by. A little bit of wall scrapes for some of those, but you can see double file for Lucas Moody and a couple others here throughout the field. Just constant battles. It looks like Andrew McManus and Brandon Schoenberger fighting through turn 2.
Whoa!
Schoenberger to the backside of Lucas Moody.
3 wide now into turn 3. Schulenberger gave an absolute shot to Moody. That's going to cause the 13 to fall back even further in this group. Logan Smith, Andrew McManus elbows out here for P6. Or sorry, that is McGill and McManus who are elbows out for 6th. Good little battle going on there. And meanwhile, up at the front of the field, Daniel Nanny is looking to make his move for the race lead. Reese Bayham about to maybe lose that spot to the 30. Bit of a block here on Nanny, trying to hold up that 30 machine. These two cars qualified P1 and P2, and they still run in that order, 75 laps, although they've both had very different routes to getting here.
And Bayham's going to try do everything
you go ahead.
can. Bayham, I mean, on those older tires, he's going to have to try and throw some dirty blocks at times. And I think coming out of turn 1, Nanny saw one of those as Bayham is now getting just absolutely assaulted on the back bumper coming out of turn 3 as it looks like some 3-wide action just further back in field. Calamity back there. But right now, Nanny's going to use the momentum and looking for that lead. Getting to the inside of the Auburn machine. We have Ball State and Auburn battling out for the leads. You see Nanny diving into turn 1 and able to clear Bayham.
Nanny takes the lead off of turn 1, 5 laps to go, and he's looking to go to victory lane for the 4th time this season. That said, though, Reese Bayham, Drew Williams, Muhammad Alif all in this pack as well. They've got significant separation up from Cade Corbin in the 5th spot. So it is a 4-car breakaway up at the front, and then you can see 2 and 3 wide deeper in that pack as everyone fighting for every last position they can get at this point. But at this point, I mean, Daniel Nanny, seeing this battling of 2 wide behind him, it's going to make him happy. It's going to let him continue to pull away from this group.
And right now, obviously, I think the winner's going to come out of these top 4 as Cade Corbin's kind of a Brandon Schoenberger situation and an island on his own back there. So these 4 have cemented themselves trying to battle it out for the podium. And right now, Drew Williams, Muhammad Alif battling it out for third as you see Alif gets a little bit of Williams. Now Williams able to drive off from Alif. Alif is going to have to try and rebound and get back up to this top 3 now. But right now, I mean, Bayham's doing a great job staying behind Daniel Nanny and is now going to try and have to formulate something in these final 3 laps.
And this is it's a tough situation if you're the 330 draft and how tightly he's running to the back bumper of the 30, but on a bit of older tires, it's going to be very tough to actually step out and make that move. So coming to the line, it'll be 3 laps to go. It is Ball State, Auburn, Clemson, Ball State. Your top 4, they continue to pull away from Cade Corbin. That separation continuing to unfold. I mean, meanwhile, you also look a little farther behind him. There's a lot of cars all trading places here in the closing laps. I mean, the battle at the tail end of the top 10 is getting dicey. As you see here, Williams and Alif clip the wall. It's going to open the door for the 12 to jump into 3rd place.
And without any type of well, with everything he can, you know, Alif's able to get that spot pretty easily. As you see some 2-wide action here going back to Logan Smith, Clint Haltman. Haltman able to close out that 7th place battle going into turn 2, but now Logan Smith's going to battle back to the inside. Auburn's not finished. He's trying to get away from UNC Charlotte, and it looks like Brandon Schoenberger.
McManus in the grass.
McManus able to keep himself centered, and really you can see everyone just trying to do everything they can to keep any type of position, because right now if you make one mistake, you could fall back 15 positions here at Pocono.
Yeah, this mid-pack here incredibly stuck together. Halterman, despite being in that incident just about 10 laps ago, has already cycled his way back to P7 with how big a couple of those incidents were. Smith sits in 8, Calick and McGill your top 10. Next time by for leader Daniel Nanny, though, it will be the white flag as they look to make their way out of turn 3. Now the white flag going to be out in just a moment. The white flag for this one presented by the McConey Setup Shop, your home. Paint schemes, setups, coaching, and more. Daniel Nanny a half-second gap up at the front of the field. You see here, this is the battle second, third, and fourth. The opportunity to be on the podium. Right now, Bayham, Alif, Williams, all nose to tail. Now here comes Williams, a drive to the side. Try to take away third, maybe second in the process. Through turn 2, nothing decided there. Alif to the back bumper of Bayham. Williams alone on that inside lane. Here goes Alif. The crossover attempt. He's going to get down all the way to the 100. Williams going to drive it down one more time, trying to take away P2 from Bayham. Alif trying to figure out who he's going to get tucked in with. And they are dead heat coming to the line. I think Reese Bayham finishes second, but that means Daniel Nanny, winner for the 4th time this season here at Pocono. Not to take away from the incredible drive that he had today. That was just a photo finish there for second, separated by 0.02 of a second. Daniel Nanny, your winner for the 4th time this season, and make that 2 in a row for that 30 machine here at Pocono.
I think that 30 machine, he has something special here at Pocono. He was able to do the back of the pack to the front of the pack challenge quite easily. I mean, within the first half of this race, he's already back contending for the lead. And I mean, ever since that point, I mean, even these cautions tried to, dispar him, and he was able to keep his cool and get past Reese Bayham. Bayham still able to finish second despite his tire disadvantage, and he had a great run today. I mean, showing a great bit of speed, and we'll talk to him in a little bit. But right now, Daniel Nanny is gonna, win it here at the Tricky Triangle.
So Nanny picks up the win. Bayham second, Drew Williams third. Muhammad Alif, a great run for him as well, but he'll finish just outside that podium group. He'll be finishing P4. And burning it down. Big slide down the front straightaway there for the 30. Tell you what, this has been a special season so far for Daniel Nanny. Win number 4 on the year. He picked up wins so far this season at New Hampshire, Chicagoland, and Homestead. And now he gets to add Pocono to the collection. Had to start from the rear of the field and still made that drive all the way up to the front. All right, folks, we are going to step away for just a moment. When we come back, it'll be interviews with your podium finishers and, of course, the final results from tonight's The Future Made by Hand 200, presented by the Penn College of Technology Esports. We will be right back to celebrate Ball State's victory here tonight.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need, Makoni.
With the launch of Makoni Entertainment and Makoni Competizone alongside Makoni Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at MakoniSetupShop.com/subscriptions.
And remember, at Makoni Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
Hello, my name's Aaron Brown from the Garage Shop in Denver, North Carolina. We're here at the famous Bonneville Speedway in Wendover, Utah. One of the most harshest environments on the planet to race in, and that's why we need the best tools Snap-on has to offer. What we use here to pump up the oil in our race engines to prime them is this Snap-on screw gun. With its variable speed and high torque, this allows us to spin our oil pumps up to 1,500 RPMs, creating 70 pounds of oil pressure, which helps us get everything settled in, nice and happy, and turn the hot oil through the engine. Compact, lightweight, and able to fit in really tight spaces. Its 9-position clutch allows us to torque things, nuts, bolts, from 8-inch to 50-inch pounds. Small size and high performance helps us get into many places on a race car where normal tools can't. Under the dash and the engine compartment, we also use this to drill a lot of holes in very tight spots.
We are back here live from the virtual Pocono Raceway. Time for a little post-race coverage. And I'm actually realizing right now we do not have some of the people that we need to chat with, so I'm going to ping them in a second. But Producer Christian, how do you feel about starting with our third place finisher, as he's the only person actively in the waiting room? All right, we're going to chat with third place, Drew Williams here, because he is the person that we have really to talk to at the moment. Hey there, Drew, you got a copy?
Yep.
Well, given that you were the first person into the waiting room, we figured we'll chat with you real quick.
Let's do it.
Podium finish for you here today. Started third, finishing third, but I think that would be doing an injustice to the race you had. Talk to us a little bit tonight about what was able to keep you in the mix all evening long.
Yeah, so I had a great time racing with had my buddies Clint and DeWale up there for a good bit. Also Nick Stockner was around. Being able to race with teammates for most of the day made it pretty easy to maintain momentum and kind of maintain track position. As you know, we weren't going to race each other super hard. We just wanted to run where we were, and we were all pretty good. And then just there at the end, had a string of cautions, took out all my buddies. So it ended up being me fighting the Ball State mob alone, which proved to be more difficult than I expected. But overall, very fun race.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like a pretty fun one. And I'll be honest with you, you were in the mix there right at the end, and you were absolutely door to door there with Bayham coming to the line. You know, it seemed like ultimately a really clean race to the finish. I know you probably could have tried to use them up or move them out of the way a little bit, but it seemed like a good battle between the two of you. Was there anything you would do differently in hindsight with that last little run to the checkered?
I mean, I don't know. I really feel like I put it all out on the table. I mean, Nanny was another level today, as he usually is, and a huge congrats to him for picking up this win. No, I mean, really, I would say that I would have doored Reese a little bit and got him into the wall to make sure I got second place, but I respect Reese too much to do that. He's raced me clean every race since he joined the league, and I want to return the favor there. So instead of being dirty and making contact, we just had a really good race to the line.
And that it was, and just came up a fraction short, but still a podium finish. And, you know, with it being a bit of an up and down start to the year, got to imagine you feel pretty good with tonight's result.
Oh, yeah. No. Tonight was the first night I was able to pick up a few bonus points from having a good qualifying and leading a lap. So, yeah, got some bonus points, ran well all day. Super happy to be showing speed again because we had a rough few weeks. So I'm super excited to see the impact of this on the scoreboard.
Certainly should do a number for you. That was a really strong performance you put out there tonight. Drew, thanks for joining us up here. Anyone you'd like to shout out this evening?
Of course. I want to give a huge thanks to all the OWR guys who show up every week. Clemson, St. Clair, all the whole crew, UNCC. Super happy all of them show up every week. Super fun racing with those guys. Huge thanks to y'all for putting on another probably great broadcast. And yeah, and again, shout out to Andy for the win and Reese for Race Me Clean.
Alrighty. Well, Drew, thanks for dropping by, and hopefully we get to talk to you again next week.
I hope so. Thank you.
That was Drew Williams, third place finisher here tonight. Oh, I accidentally re-added him to the in the Discord. I was about to move him, and then someone else did, so I just pulled him back. But that was third place finisher Drew Williams, Clemson University. On the podium here tonight, a really strong drive. The driver of the 100 machine just was up in the mix all evening long. Producer Christian, do you want to go to first or do you want to go to second now that we're out of order? All right, we'll just go inverse order here tonight. Brad, I believe, is standing by with second place finisher Reese Bayham.
I am down here with Auburn's Reese Bayham. Reese, you got a copy?
Yeah, I got you guys.
Alrighty. Well, tonight you seem like you were fast from start to finish. I mean, qualifying on pole and pretty much staying on top of the leaderboards the entire night. We pretty much didn't take your eyes off of your car here tonight. But take us through start to finish your race tonight, because there was a lot of green flag runs, but then there was a lot of caution toward the end.
Yeah, well, first of all glory goes to God. I don't know where I'd be without him. But as far as the race goes, I knew coming in I'd be quick. This is a really good track for me. Just kind of the way it drives is flat. You kind of have to stay the right rear. It's just kind of my style. So I knew that'd be competitive, and with Nanny having the EOL, just knew that I had a chance to really control the race early on. Blew the start a little bit, dropped back, but had a good restart later, and then from there is just kind of managing the draft and everything, and just hoping it went green the rest of the way, honestly. But then with the cautions there at the end, I was kind of surprised that I was the only one who stayed out after we had that long green flag run. I thought there'd be more people that would, with only having 4 laps on the tires or so. So from that point, it was just kind of get good restarts and kind of stay out in front, and cautions kept coming. I wouldn't be mad.
And coming to sorry, did you have anything else to say? I'm sorry if I cut you off.
Yeah, no, you're good. I was just gonna say I just didn't have anything for Nanny there at the end. I knew once he got to my bumper, it was game over. So just kind of kept hoping for the cautions, and fortunately, just didn't get enough of them.
And coming to that final green flag round, I mean, we saw one of the closest finishes there for second place here tonight. And can you take us through those final laps and what your mindset was once Nanny got in front? Because, like you said, I mean, he had speed. Did you think he had any shot with the older tires, or what was your mindset?
I mean, I was just gonna give it everything I had, right? I think I stuck with him for maybe a lap or two. It was right on his bumper, and fortunately, just with the old tires, just couldn't quite hang with him in the dirty air. So once he pulled about half a second on me, I knew it was just try to keep Drew and Alif behind me, and Drew made a good run there at the end. I wasn't expecting him to get that good a run there in the last couple corners, but able to hang on for second, so pretty happy.
And then going into Indy, I mean, you and Auburn have had pretty good, you're very fast these past couple of weeks. So Landon Velicky, I mean, at Daytona, you had Logan Smith podium at Atlanta, and you here tonight at Pocono. Going into Indy, how are you and Auburn feeling going into a very, I wouldn't say a wild card, but a similar track to Pocono here tonight?
Yeah, I think we're feeling really good. Shout out to Logan and Andrew as well for both getting top 10s for Auburn, and good race from them. So I think we're feeling good. We've got some momentum. We've got 3 straight podiums across the team. So just gonna try to keep that going and keep the momentum up.
And then before we let you go here tonight, Reese, do you have anyone you'd like to shout out?
Yeah, I mean all the guys at Auburn, Logan, Landon, Andrew for kind of being there for us every week. It's a lot of fun racing with those guys, and glad that I got back into it. And then yeah, like I said at the beginning, just all glory goes to God, man. He's done a lot for me, and I could be more thankful for him.
Alrighty, well, have a great rest of your night, Reese, and we hope to talk to you here next week. And Indy,
Yeah, thank you guys. Have a good one.
you as well. And I will send it back up to the booth with Alex with tonight's winner, Daniel Nanny from Ball State University.
Sorry, I'm doing a little bit of moving around the old interview, bringing them in now. Joining here now, race winner for the 4th time this season. Daniel, you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Tell you what, wasn't easy tonight. Had to go from the back to the front, and then had to go through the middle of the pack back to the front here when you came down for tires late, and not everybody did. What was it like trying to cut through the field here tonight? Because you had to do it a couple of times, but ultimately, each and every time, you were able to get back up to the front.
It was a little scary, if I'm being completely honest. Yeah, the back of the middle of the pack was very unpredictable because, a lot of people want to send it into turn one and try to make passes, especially on the restart. So I knew I had to be careful and pick my battles wisely. And thankfully, I was able to somehow save my tires while going through the pack and make it through it, especially during that first 17 laps before that first caution.
And I mean, you were able to make a lot of that stuff, or a lot of those spots, even in just the opening 20 laps of this one. But then you got to the front, then you got some track position. You were really able to start dictating the pace of the race and the overall energy that was there. But then, you come down pit road late in this one. You kind of have to work your way back, and then there's a bunch of restarts with cautions. Was there any concerns trying to get back to the front there with all of the cautions? Did you feel that if that kept up, you were going to have issues actually getting up to the front?
I was a little worried that, especially I think there was like 3 cautions there after that last pit stop, so I was a little worried we weren't going to go green there. But I knew if it goes green and we get through the first 2 corners at that, I knew I was going to be able to drive through the field and get to East and have a shot at winning.
And when you did, win number 4 on the year. I mean, what has it been like this year? I mean, it has been probably about as good a season that you could ask for to start off with here through the opening half. How do you maintain this momentum into the back half of the season?
It just comes down to luck at the end of the day because, I was suspended in the last race, so I just have to be safe and be wise going into the rest of the race of the season so I don't get penalized anymore and hopefully somehow win the championship.
I'll tell you what, tonight's effort is going to do a lot for that. A lot of points gained here tonight on those cars ahead of you, and there wasn't very many to begin with. But there's a very good chance you might find yourself in the points lead after tonight. I don't know exactly how it shakes out just yet, but
that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, if you don't already have it, it's going to be damn close. That much I'm sure of. Daniel, anyone you'd like to thank or shout out here tonight on the race win?
I got to shout out Ball State University for giving me this platform to be able to, race for them, and especially Elif. Good job to Elif in finishing 4th. And sucked that Lucas and Ben were caught up in the wreck, and they were on pace for a top 10 finish there. And I got to shout out the Vortex boys, as always. And I actually shout out my parents for supporting me in this journey. And hopefully we can continue this next weekend.
Well, excited to see what you bring to the table next week, Daniel. Hopefully we get to chat with you again next week. Congrats on the win tonight, and we'll see you in Indianapolis.
Thank you guys so much.
All right, and that was race winner Daniel Lanning, number 30 machine for Ball State University. Gets win number 4 on the year. I mean, Brad, that's the car week in, week out that the drivers on the field need to look at to try to beat. I mean, the class of the field so far this year, it's just been unbelievable, the success he's found through the opening 7.
Yeah, and I think, you look through this field and a lot of highly skilled drivers are trying to just figure out how to get their way around Nanny. And so far he's done a great job getting past everyone, and once he's in front of you, he's just a brick wall. So it seems like he's just kind of an unstoppable force through this first half of the season. And, going into the second half now, he is still showing that he is going to be a force to be reckoned with. And now with pretty much the points lead, he's going to, dictate how the rest of the season goes.
It is certainly a likely possibility if this rate keeps up. But before we go, we're going to bring you tonight's final results. Future Made by Hand 200, Daniel Nanny wins by just under a second over Reese Bayham here tonight. Drew Williams loses out by 0.02 of a second on that second place spot. Muhammad Ali finishing fourth here this evening. Brandon Schulenberger rounding out your top 5 for Wingate. Cade Corbin going to finish 6th here tonight for Alabama Huntsville. UNC Charlotte's Clint Halterman rallies to 7th. Logan Smith 8th for Auburn. Keegan Callick a great 9th place run here tonight for St. Clair. Andrew McGill a top 10 for Auburn. 3 Auburn Tigers in the top 10 tonight.
And 11th, we have Andrew Burrell from Clemson University. Jason Wallet from Drexel University finishes 12th. Lucas Moody from Ball State finishes 13th. Andrew McManus from the University of Toledo finishes 14th. And Ethan Decatur from Valparaiso finishes 15th. Ricky Paz from East Carolina University finishes 16th. UNC Charlotte's Alex Finnerty finishes 17th. The pair of teammates from Penn College of Technology, Josh Young and Dylan Godinez, finished 18th and 19th. And rounding out your top 20, it is Jared Kaler from UNC Charlotte.
21st here tonight, Connor Zabogian from Kettering, Matthew Nordberg 22nd, Nathaniel Crone from Toledo, the last car on the lead lap here. Everyone else here one or more down. Everyone else here one or more laps down. Jake Cummings, Zach Tallman, Edward Sanchez, Trey Lamprecht, Nick Stockner, Roger Primo, and Michael James.
And the rest of your running field here tonight, Ben Miller from Ball State finishes 31st. Wesley Shaw from Texas A&M Texarkana finishes 32nd. Jack Wilson from the University of North Georgia finishes 33rd. Zachary DeWale from St. Clair finishes 34th. Alex Halloner from Binghamton finishes 35th. Austin DeLong from Penn College of Technology finishes 36th. Robbie Hotchkiss from New England College finishes 37th. Grant Schiller from St. Clair finishes 38th. Michael Sidor from the Penn College of Technology finishes 39th. And rounding out your field tonight, Kettering University machine of Dwayne Young finishing 40th.
Also, we just want to give one quick shout out to the Penn College of Technology's Josh Young, coach for that program, stepping in on a one-off tonight. Brings it home inside the top 30, top 20. It was a pretty solid day. For Josh Young, welcome aboard, plus the other drivers who made their debut here this evening. But with that, that's going to conclude tonight's coverage of the Future Made by Hand 200. Brad, before we call it a night, any final thoughts from Pocono?
I mean, I think we kind of saw it all here tonight. A lot of calamity. I think a lot of teaching notes for those drivers here to go into Indy. So, a lot of just intense racing here tonight. A lot more craziness, honestly, than I thought we would see with how the last couple races have gone at the restrictor plates. So I think, anything's possible at this point here in the CIL. So we'll see what happens next week.
Yeah, I mean, going from a caution-free Atlanta race to a very messy back half of this one just goes to show any given week the vibes can be completely different from race to race. But yeah, next week, folks, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, we'll be heading to the famed Indianapolis Motor Speedway for Race 8 of the Garage Shop College Cup Series season. It'll be March 10th. You don't want to miss it. But if you want to get some CIL action before next Monday, can I interest you potentially in some Fort College from Texas, March 5th, 8:45 Eastern, right here on the CIL YouTube. That should be a fun one. IndyCar Texas always puts on a show. You won't want to miss. And any other upcoming events there, Producer Christian? Okay. Well, that'll be the only 2 upcoming over the next week. So be sure to tune in Wednesday for College at Texas, and then next week when we go to Brickyard. That should be a fun one. That's going to be a race that's this, but even faster, even more dynamic. I think that's going to be a ton of fun. But for everybody here at the CIL, all the admins, the stewards, the drivers, producer Christian Hill, my co-commentator Brad Daniels here tonight, I've been Alex Gagnon saying thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you once again, and good night.